morning, and welcome to Workhorse Wrestling Network. You are gathered with us here this fine Saturday morning, August 16th, 7 a.m. on the West Coast, 10 a.m. on the East Coast, for the Winner's Circle, where myself and Miss Anika, our Anarchy Queen, will be reviewing a AEW Collision from last Thursday, special night, and then Dynamite from this past Wednesday, as we always do. Review each show, grade each show, and then declare a winner for the week. Uh, so far, since we've switched to just an all AEW platform, Dynamite has carried the victory. But as Tony Khan says, these shows should all be equal, so we're going to judge them as equals, even though it may or may not be fair.
Hey,
That's
I
what
have
we're going to do. So before we get started, if you're new to the Workhorse Wrestling Network YouTube channel, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button on this video. Helps a lot. Hit that bell. That little bell will will set up the notification so every time we put something on the YouTube channel, you will get a notification. That's the best way to make sure that you can catch everything that comes up on the YouTube channel. If you're with us on Twitch, thank you for giving us a follow over there. We appreciate it. Wherever you're watching, give us a chat or chime in the chat. Let us know how your Saturday's going, how your week's been, anything you want to talk about Collision or Dynamite that we're reviewing, anything you want to talk about wrestling in general. Miss Anika watches WWE, so if you want to talk WWE, we'd be willing to do that even. So anything you guys want to talk about, even non-wrestling related, just pop in and say hello. We're always happy to hear from you guys. So I think without further ado, we shall crack into it. We had AEW. Before I start on that, how are you, Miss Anika, this morning, this fine Saturday?
I am good. I am good. It's been a very relaxing morning, but I am glad I got to work tonight, and I'm actually happy about that because I've been off a couple of days, and you've been off. You're off too many days, you get too lazy. So like, all right, let's go. Let's get back into the swing of things.
Get that groove and not working, and then it's harder to go back.
It really,
Uh,
it really.
no doubt, no doubt, no doubt. Okay, so this week's the collision we're reviewing was from last Thursday. It was a special night. As we've talked on here, I think that they should make the change to Thursday permanently, but that has not happened yet. I don't even know if that's anything that they're discussing behind the scenes there in AEW
It's
wrestling. But for me, it seems to make sense. They should at least be looking at it. So
yeah.
um, let's see. That Thursday was August 9th. They were in Roanoke, Virginia at the Berglund Center. We are roughly 2 weeks away from Forbidden Door, so everything is kind of gearing up towards that.
Yep.
It's not necessarily go home show week, but we're definitely in build up mode. So
It,
most of what we should be doing should have some sort of impact on Forbidden Door coming up. I mean, obviously, not every single thing can be focused around Forbidden Door, especially since Forbidden Door isn't necessarily like your traditional pay per view, right? It's kind of it's in your rotation, but it's like out of the it's kind of like the one-off of the year, even though it's happening every year. And the storylines are a little different when it comes to Forbidden Door sometimes than they are when it comes to the general storylines and the regular AEW stuff. So, um,
and more so, just the main problem is who from other companies is going to come over here for Forbidden Door,
yeah,
and like although New Japan is still good, it's like how many times can we see Ishii over here? like one
yeah,
new fresh face, just one.
yep, no doubt. And we will find out. We're gonna get one. We'll wait and mention it. Um, but yeah. So to start off this episode of Collision, we had a TNT title match. You're defending your new TNT champion, the Protostar, Kyle Fletcher, in his first defense, I guess, against
I,
uh,
yep.
the Stone Bull, Tomohiro Ishii, who Miss Anika just disparaged by saying we see him
Nope.
too much over
Nope.
here.
Nope. I said on Forbidden Door. I don't even real talk. I'm not even sure why he don't be over here. Just give him a contract to AEW, but maybe he don't want to be over here. Maybe like, hey, I just want my summer vacation, and then after summer vacation's done, I go back to Japan.
No. Yes. So in his first title defense, he's facing Ishii, who's one of my favorites. He's hard hitting, major strong style dude. Um,
He's so sweet
yeah,
though.
he earns that name Stone Pitbull. The dude is like a little block of stone, and he is hungry like a pit bull. That dude is he's amazing. So needless to say, Kyle Fletcher is being pushed. He's got a rocket on his back at the moment, and Kyle Fletcher is amazing. He's an amazing wrestler. So when I saw this match kicking off my show, I was very excited,
Yeah,
and it did not disappoint. Hard hitting, lots of action, lots of back and forth. I mean, when they announced the match, especially because of the way Ishii has been booked in AEW specifically, wow, basically booked it all anywhere, but in AEW specifically, I didn't think that he was going to win. I never thought he was going to
right.
win. Kyle
Yeah,
Fletcher getting this win. It's his first defense, blah, blah, blah. But there were a couple moments where Ishii had some two counts where I was like, holy shit, are they gonna actually do something crazy? Like that was really close. Like, which makes
like
because then it actually provides some level of
oh
unpredictability, at least when you're watching it, especially because I thought it was basically 100% that Kyle Fletcher was winning. So I think they did a
yeah,
really good job at convincing me, even though I knew there wasn't a chance that whoa, she almost won that, and I need to pay more attention here because it's fishy. But yeah, a
I mean,
little over 15 minutes or 16 minutes, I guess. So I
yeah,
loved it. I thought this was great. I thought this was a perfect way to open the show. Great title defense for Kyle Fletcher. Ishii is the kind of top mid card, low main event guy. I mean, he's never really been booked in the main event, but he could be. So
yeah,
top of the mid card and could be very low main event card guy. That's perfect. I think it's the perfect kind of first opponent for Kyle Fletcher. You don't have to have
yeah.
a big storyline for it. You just put them in together. And let them go at it. And I think it worked out great. So I enjoyed this. What do you think of this match?
No. And like I said, I didn't say I didn't want Ishii. I said I want new faces with Ishii. But that being
Yeah.
said, that being said, no, this was a very good choice for Cal Fletcher for his first title defense. Even though Cal Fletcher has been here for 2 years officially in AEW, I want to say it's been 2 years. Most of his career has been in New Japan, so it's like let him get with somebody familiar with his style. It's like okay, and then like literally off to the races. You can sense when you don't have to guess what the other wrestlers doing with like when they're both in the ring. It's like what? No, like, no. We both understand the assignment. We're gonna hit the crap out of each other. It's gonna be some near falls. It's gonna be a good time. That's exactly what it was. It was definitely a very good time.
Agreed. Post match, Kyle Fletcher calls out the best of New Japan for Forbidden Door. Then everyone will have no choice but to say his full name, which I thought was a stupid line. It's weird. Like some lines get over and some lines don't, and obviously not everything is whatever, whatever. But there are some lines where you hear I don't know about that. Don't let's not say that again. Like I'm not a big fan of this. Learn my full name. We already know your full name, dude. It's Kyle Fletcher. You want us to say Potato Star? I mean, well, what are you looking for us to say when you say my full name? Like
Al Bartholomew Fletcher? Like I don't understand. Like what you
right. So I'm not a big fan of that statement. But Don Callis is with him. He says, we're ready to fulfill Don Callis is ready to fulfill his destiny at Forbidden Door and wants New Japan to send his best as well. And with then he'll use his custom New Japan tie to choke them. What do you think about these guys calling out New Japan? And we'll talk more about this because on Dynamite we had some further follow up on this. But what do you think about this from this point on Collision right here when this was happening?
definitely don't mind it. Definitely don't mind it. And like you said, Forbidden Door is 2 weeks away, so this is a very nice little build up, and it brings the what you call it, the speculation. Like, ooh, who's gonna come? Oh my gosh, they've called someone out. Someone's definitely coming. Who's gonna be? So it was cool. A nice little build up segment. Yeah, the whole Cal Fletcher, your full name. I'm like, did we Cal Fletcher the third? I don't like
We already
what.
say your full name. Like you're one of those dudes that has a first and last name that we say every single
Yeah,
time. Like, well,
cause like Kyle and Fletcher, there's you can't say them not together. Like you're a dork. It's a cow. No, Fletcher. No, it's a cow. But still a dork, but at least it works. Okay, it's fine.
that's funny. All right. Nigel is entering the ring again.
Yeah,
Your commentator, Mr. Nigel McGuinness. I didn't think it was going to necessarily happen again after Daniels, but here we are. Nigel's going to be in a fatal four-way on Dynamite that we'll review next for a shot against Zack Sabre Jr. The winner gets a shot against Zack Sabre Jr. at Forbidden Door. So it's four technical wrestlers. I'm drawing a blank on the names. We'll go over them when we actually talk about the match on Dynamite because right now the other two names are escaping
I
me. But
on Dynamite. It was on some. It was on something else. It hadn't come up yet. It hadn't come up yet.
the match hasn't happened yet. That's right. Okay.
Yeah.
It's still coming. Yeah, that's right. Okay. But I think we get the. I think on this week's Dynamite though they announced who the four people were, or they made a bigger.
A bigger
I
spectacle.
remember them. Say that again.
A bigger spectacle of it.
Yeah, because they were talking to Nigel and they were asking about whatever about the guys, and so they mentioned all the names. So, but it's technically four technical wrestlers that are going to have a fatal four-way to have a shot at the best technical wrestler in the world, Zack Sabre Jr. in the title that he holds at the moment. So, anything you want to say about that, just in general, about Nigel being in the ring again and somebody facing Zack Sabre Jr. at Forbidden Door?
Well, Zacky Poo is that. So I am very happy that he is on the card. Like he should be more on forbid. Like he was on the card, but I feel like for me, it's very rare that the first match I watch is like, oh, I get it, right? It's like, but like, I need a couple of matches to be like, oh, okay, nice. So yeah, I'm very glad that he's on the card. Nigel is like, come on, like you got fit to just do the one match. Like, come on, let's just. I'm gonna say ride it till the wheels fall off. We'll ride it till a pin gets in it, and it's like, all right, before all the air comes out the tire, we'll leave. But let's ride it for a couple of miles. Let's just see how good the ride is.
Yeah, no, it should be fun. I mean, Zack Sabre Jr. is an amazing wrestler. Anytime you get to see him wrestle, I'm excited. So seeing him wrestle on Forbidden Door should be fun. Um, and yeah, I mean, I'm definitely here for it. Be careful calling him Zachy Poo. You're going to make your other husband, Will Ospreay, jealous over there. Like,
She got a wife. It's fine. What the hell? Got her job. This is what happens. Whatever.
that's what. Let's see. We got the patriarchy: Nick Wayne, Kip Sabian, and Mother Wayne. I guess they're still technically going by the patriarchy. Um, for the moment, I guess. They're here to talk about what they did to a Christian Cage with the concerto last week. Um, let's see. Nick Wayne is a shooting star who has been released, and now their mission is to end Christian Cage's career. Yeah, this was okay. I mean, obviously, Nick Wayne is young and hasn't, his first year and a half or however long it's been that he's been a member or was a member of the patriarchy was basically deferring to Christian, as far as when it came to talking and basically everything. So I'm not so there's going to be a learning curve because now he's finally on his own and he's going to actually, there's going to be a learning curve, and you can hear it a little bit. He definitely still needs work. The promos aren't perfect, and you can tell. That's why sometimes I wonder about that kind of I guess I'll use the term vortex when it's a bad situation, but like not that Christian was a vortex per se, but like it almost feels like we should have had this development for Nick Wayne starting a year and a half ago, not waiting until the patriarchy's broken up and he's been around forever and now it looks like, oh, he's a little behind, right? Because now he's on our TV and has been there, but it's like you haven't developed like the way you should. And I don't know that that's. I feel like he should be farther along right now, after as long as he's been here in AEW already with his abilities. So not in the ring, but just mostly talking and just kind of feeling like he's the man, right? Because now he's technically the only one of any importance in the patriarchy anymore. No one gives a shit about Kip Sabian, and Mother Wayne is what she is, right? I mean, so really, this is Nick Wayne, right? And so this is his chance to stand on his own now that Christian is whatever the excluded Christian. So I just think it's interesting. I don't want to say that Christian hindered him, but I feel like he should be a little bit more developed by now. But there's going to be a bit of a learning curve. But this was okay. What did you think of this overall patriarchy segment?
Very decent promo. I totally agree with everything you just said. This more so when it comes to pitching a new person with a veteran to see how he develops. It really is tricky to see when you like, okay, when is he ready? It's like you want to say yes, but like it really is when we drop kick you in that water, we really can't come save you. And so right now he's floating. He's floating. I still feel like I agree with you. We need another guy of importance in this group. I'm gonna say we don't give a crap about Kip Sabian, but it does feel like Kip Sabian's time has passed. Where he like, if he was ever gonna get to some importance, it's not gonna happen. I hate saying that, but it is there. So like in my mind, he don't like Nick Wayne. He doesn't need to be another veteran. I'm like in my mind, maybe another new star coming up, maybe Hook, maybe someone like that to see how it goes. But right now it's fine. Right now he's not bombing, and that's like as long as you're not bombing, we can work on it.
Yeah, I mean, the patriarchy needs obviously to do something different. They need a new name or whatever. And if Nick Wayne was to actually like send his, they decided not to have his mom on TV anymore and do something with Kip different with Kip Sabian, send him on to do something different. I could see maybe, Nick Wayne joining the ops maybe or something. You know what I'm saying? Like a situation like that would be perfect potentially, where he could be under guys that are actually going not the Christian didn't, but just maybe a different type situation. Where they could team him with a guy like Cook when he comes back, those kind of things. So yeah, I think that's an interesting idea. But yeah, they just, it wasn't perfect, but he's still learning, so it's fine for what it was. Megan Bain versus Emily Rose, who I don't think I've ever seen before, and I don't know that we'll ever see again because this was like a 1 minute squash. I mean, okay, we debate on here whether things are squashes or not. Sorry, this was a squash. This was an absolute squash. So, basically hit the, clothesline and then a power bomb, and it was over. So, to be fair, Megan Bain, they want to show her as a dominant, as the monster of the women's division, and she's doing a good job at that right now. And this did a good job of going a long way to get show that. I feel a little bad for anyone that has to take a squash like that, but I guess if you're an Emily Rose, who I don't know, she might be local talent. They just happen to get on TV with a Megan Bain, I guess. That's one of those situations where like, is just getting on TV enough, or do you actually think you suffer from taking that loss that fast? I mean, because now, I mean, if you ever come back, people go, "No, that's the one that lost to Megan Bain." If you even remember who she is, that's the woman that Megan Bain squashed in 1 minute. You know what I mean? Like, how serious should I take her now? Like, so I don't know. Sometimes it can be good or bad, I suppose. But what do you think of this little squash? Anything you want to say about it?
No, like so it's one thing like we're keeping Megan Banks strong, which is good. Her opponent, I'll say this: I kind of wish they would do this more in WWE, where it feels like they don't know who. Like when you have a new talent coming, they're like, who do they face? Where it's not going to penalize them, and it's like you got a whole developmental thing called NXT in Orlando. If you don't bring a couple of the people up, so the new person can squash them, and it'll be fine. It really will be fine. Um, I love those little compilation videos on YouTube where you can see how a person starts, and it's like, oh shoot, I never remembered that. Like it was one Sheamus with a security guard. I'm like, okay, how do we forget the big redhead dude is a security guard, and now he was world heavyweight champion. Like CM Punk riding the car in the opening of WrestleMania when they were in Chicago for John Cena. It's like so sometimes so like with these things, I don't believe that they really hurt you that way. Or like last one, Ricky Saints being pummeled by Ryback. I'm like, and that one was actually a segment where like, oh, that's the same dude. Oh, that's cool. So I don't so like if she has talent or and she's just in this is the beginning stage of her life, hey, get that check, and in 2 years you want to come back, maybe like hey, who knows, maybe you'll be at MJF and Samoa Joe where Megan Bain pushes you and you like not today. So this was fun.
Let's see. So we get a fired up Brian Keith and Big Bill. Juice, you put your hands on Brian Keith, and you messed up and put your hands on Big Bill. And then Big Bill comes in and says, "You put your hands on me." And I mean, I thought the promo was okay, and ultimately it led to Juice versus Ricochet next, in which Brian Keith and Big Bill are in that little vortex getting vortex. I don't want to say that because that sounds bad. And they're in that little whatever triangle to
Program.
you know situation here. So, what do you think of the Big Bill Brian Keith little short promo here?
It was fine. It was cute. I actually am into Big Bill and Brian Key versus the Guns or the Bang Bang Gang. I'm like, okay. Again, like everything doesn't have to be super serious, but as long as you have a program and you make it serious, that's how you level up. And I'm like, okay, this actually will be very good for everybody. Who wins isn't my job, but but I do, but I am enjoying this little rivalry right now. And Brian Keith and Big Bill are still good together, so that's good.
Yeah, the thing that I'm most happiest about is right now is that Chris Jericho is gone, and you get to actually see Big Bill and Brian Keith kind of on their own, which I like. I mean, Brian Keith is starting to get an opportunity to show more personality. I thought he did good in this promo. He's funny, even when he's not trying to be. Like, there's just something about him that makes me laugh. Which I don't know if that's necessarily good or bad because he's trying to be like serious and intense, and I'm kind of over here laughing a little bit. So, but at the same time, like I still, it's still very enjoyable. And Big Bill's great. I mean, he just is what he is. I mean, he's a little. Some of his promos are a little simplistic. He's a little kind of layman in some of his wording and stuff. But at the same time, I mean, the way he says it, he has that kind of charisma and personality that's enough to, kind of make up for some of the actual, word deficiencies of the promos. But no, I thought this was fine. The energy was good. And, I enjoyed it for what it was. Juice and Ricochet. Austin Gunn is here with Juice Robinson. They're all outside. GOA is here with Ricochet. Uh, Lots of back and forth. Ultimately, everyone gets involved. Big Bill comes in, hits a big boot, which sets up uh, Ricochet for the spirit gun to pin Juice a little over 10 minutes, well, a little over 12 minutes technically. Um, I mean, I like Juice Robinson a lot, so I'm glad that he's back. Unfortunately, the star of that group really is Jay White, and without Jay White, they're doing the best that they can to kind of tread water and keep their heads above the waterline, and
Yeah.
they're doing okay. I mean, the cutouts, the funniness, the humorous part of the cutouts is helping them a little bit. The question is, how long does that actually? How long do people actually continue to laugh at that? How long does that sustain them with Jay out? I don't even know how long Jay White is out. Um, but unfortunately, Juice and the Guns are what they are. So that being said, I thought the match was great. Juice is fun. Ricochet's fun. You know that it's not going to be a one-on-one clean match because everyone's got people in their corners and Ricochet is a slimy heel. Technically, they're both heels, I think. I mean, the Bang Bang Gang is kind of playing the babyface role right now, but as a rule, that faction is a heel faction. I mean, Jay White is a heel, I think. So, and the faction is tended to be a faction. The Guns are definitely heels, or at least they tend to be, right? So, yeah, I mean, I was good with this for the most part. I still, I always have my personal issues with too much, interference and that kind of thing, and not enough clean matches and all that stuff. But it is what it is. Here it works fine. I think the way it played out, I didn't think that it was too like, this is miserable because there's so much interference. You kind of expect it with these guys, and I thought they did it in a way that came off okay. Ricochet getting the win is what it is. I mean, Ricochet, I guess they're pushing more than Juice Robinson at the moment, and he's kind of a whatever. So I guess it makes sense. So, what do you think about this? Ricochet
I
getting the win over Juice.
I don't hate it. More so with who gets over more. I do agree that Ricochet should have the more pull because more so Juice and they're still trying to think what's going on. But right now in my mind, Juice and Austin are a tag team just a little bit. So in singles matches, Ricochet wins. Okay, cool. Side note: Ricochet abusing cardboard switchblade. I'm like, sir, that was unnecessary. You're doing the most. You need to cut it out. How dare you, boo? That's so wrong. Uh, besides that, it's a very, very much so fun match, and I do agree with you how they did it. It was like I think when it comes to clean finishes, I mean, when it comes to interference, more so when it's too, like you said, when it's too much. Like, case in point, Dominic in the women's match. I'm like, he's been on the edge of this ring for 5 minutes. If you don't kick him out, but nah, in this match, Big Bill just came in, booted the crap out of Juice, and just came and went right back out with your big behind. And 1, 2, 3, we done. I'm like, okay, see, okay, fine, that's cool, that's cool. And so yeah, Ricochet wins, which is definitely needed because I still believe in Ricochet and Gates of Anarchy, and I want them to get higher than what they are right now. So yes, more stack up more wins, please and thank you.
Yeah, I agree. Max Caster is back. Or we get a video package of him surviving Roosh last week. Um, and then Caster's here live. He says Roosh got a moral victory last week, and he doesn't need AR Fox's help. Tonight's another open challenge, so he decided he's going to do some push-ups and clap some nutcrackers. Yeah, he did some push-ups. Anything about this little Mass Caster segment and look back at Roosh last week and the kind of idea that I guess Roosh didn't totally understand the way the open challenge works. So
Sure.
sure.
No. This is this was very much so fun. And more so, I like that, we talk about more when it comes. We're getting more towards building up Max Caster. I'm like, okay, we're finally getting somewhere. Two feet ahead is still progress.
I mean, I've complained a lot on here about them. It feels like they're burying Max Caster, but yeah, I guess for the first time, it's starting to feel maybe a little like that tide is changing, and maybe we're seeing Tony's vision for the long-term storyline here, which at least is reassuring that he has something in mind for a long-term storyline, because it sure seemed like he did, but I was starting to worry, and whether it was going to work out or not. So I guess we're still not, nothing's etched in stone yet. We don't know if it's working out. So far for me, it really hasn't worked this whole thing to this point, but it was a little bit better this week, and we'll see, how it ends up playing out. So. I'm still willing to give it a chance because I like Max Caster. So, in that regard, I'm not necessarily to the point where it's go away heat for me. Like, okay, I'm just done with this. This is egregious. I feel like I don't understand. I'm still not totally sure. I'm starting to see it a little bit more. I'm still not sure I totally understand the mindset around it or the storyline, but like I said, I'm willing to let it play out. So, FTR and Stokely Hathaway versus three local jobbers. This is because Stokely has to face Cope and Stokely has to get warmed up and have some training. So they bring in three local jobbers. I'll say their names. It's probably not even worth it. Ryan Zuko, Joe Keys, and Josh Fuller. No one's going to remember them. No one's going to anything, but those are their names. We'll at least give them the credit of saying their names. Let's see. It was definitely an FTR Stokely squash. Um, they gave him the double pile driver and let Stokely get the win, essentially the pin and the finish and the pin. A little over 3 minutes. They let Stokely get in and get a little work on some of these guys, dance around, do some punching, look like he kind of maybe knows a little bit about what he's doing. And at the same time, you can definitely see probably deliberately because they said go out there and make it look like absolutely nothing to a certain extent, make it look almost as bad, But at the same time, it is Stokely Hathaway, and I'm not sure that I've ever seen him in the ring in what I would call a real wrestling match, so I don't know what his true ability is in the ring. But this was definitely more of that kind of humorous tune-up for Stokely. I mean, I enjoyed it. I thought it was fine. I have my feelings about Cope versus Stokely. To a certain extent, I guess I get it because whatever. That's kind of the storyline. You can't touch FTR because of the training or all these other things. I just am not. I'm never a big fan of putting someone who everybody knows has no business being in the ring against someone who is a Hall of Famer and something else. Just someone that's like, I mean, it'd be one thing if you're in the ring against someone that's at least a mid card, low mid card guy. Like if Stokely's in the ring against a Kip Sabian, that's a whole different situation than it is if he's in the ring against an Adam Copeland, So just, I don't know. Like, not that anyone has any interest in Stokely versus Kip Sabian. That's not what I'm talking about. The only interest for fans is when it is someone like a Copeland versus a Stokely. But I'm just saying, like, there's such this mismatch that it's, in my mind, I don't know if I really want to see it. At the same time, you also know that it's not going to be a real match, and FTR's not going to let Stokely just get beat up or whatever. It's going to be, a bunch of interference and all that stuff. So I probably end up in a DQ of some way, shape, or form or something. So it is what it is. What do you think of this little warm up match, though, for Stokely against these jobbers?
It was fun. It was definitely fun. So I will leave it at that. I love the part where like this is probably the best way to use jobbers. Where if you have a Stokely, he's getting beat up until he goes to the side with FTR. Like, we got you, we got you. Where it's like, listen, we're jobbers. We'll be dang if we can't beat this little dude right here. So it was very much so fun. I love when there's a third part of the story where it's like, okay, Adam Copeland challenge Stokely. We are doing the match. We are doing training. Okay, now it's time for the main event, the actual match. So I actually like this. And like you said, this goes more into Collision being on Thursdays, so you don't forget what's going on. So it's like, oh, he does have to practice for next week. Okay, cool. So yeah, this was entertaining.
I'm trying to remember. The notes here say video on John Moxley versus Darby Allin. I'm trying to remember the video package in my head.
It literally was the same package where
they've been showing, right? And that's probably why I don't really remember. I probably wasn't.
Yeah, Darby appears during Mox versus Hangman. He does the Stinger crossbody off the freaking balcony like a crackhead emotionally, and then next week he starts kidnapping people and trying to throw Moxley over the freaking guardrail, and it's like, no, he's just too far, and then he kidnapped Wheeler Yuta, Forbidden Door. I've taken everything from you, Moxley, everything. Ah! And that's basically it.
It's like I said, I wasn't totally paying attention because I totally even forgot about it. But I think now that I remember roughly, I mean, it is what it is. I mean, it's a solid video package. AEW and WWE are both good at giving us video packages, reminding us of what's going on. Sometimes not enough. Sometimes not enough to build up whatever's going on. But here, keeping it fresh in our mind what's going on, and Darby versus Moxley for Forbidden Door, as things should be progressing towards there, because that's the pay-per-view that's coming next. So, it's fun.
It seems like the first time Darby's going to be back in the ring is at Forbidden Door. I'm like, we don't want to do a tune-up match just to see if all the kinks are out. He just got back he's Darby, but he did just come back from a mountain climb. Just make sure all the limbs are thawed out from the cold. Make sure we're all the first time at Forbidden Door, premium live event, pay-per-view. All right, fine. Okay. It's Darby, so yeah, that makes sense.
Let's see. So our next match on the card is Hechicero versus AR Fox. AR Fox has been kind of battling with the Don Callis family, and Hechicero is a member of the Don Callis family. So here we go. Daniel Garcia is on commentary. Maybe explain to me why he's
I was gonna listen.
What's his connection here? Why is he here?
So like you said, him and Nigel are going to be in that match.
Right.
I'm going to assume someone who's in the match is going to be in the 4-way to compete against Zack Sabre Jr. too. Yeah.
Hechicero or AR Fox? Yeah, I mean, I guess. I mean, yeah.
Sure. But
that would make sense for why I guess Daniel Garcia is on commentary. Nonetheless, as you would expect, if you've been watching Hechicero at all since he's been here in the last couple months, you're probably impressed as I have been. I think he's shown up and shown out for the most part, and obviously you know what you get with AR Fox. We here at Workhorse Wrestling Network love AR Fox and think he always deserves more. This match was solid. I mean, you got two guys that can really go at it, so I enjoyed that. Hechicero got the win with the choke slam after AR Fox missed the 450 for the win, a little under 10 minutes, over 8 minutes, between 8 and 10 minutes. A solid time frame for these guys. I know that we talk about matches going too long. I thought this was in kind of the sweet spot. Anywhere from like 8 to 12 minutes feels like a sweet spot for a normal match, depending on what's going on. So, and this is right in that. I mean, it's the lower end of that, right around 8 minutes. But still, I thought that it looked like it had enough time. It didn't feel rushed. And, I guess for all intents and purposes, because he's a member of the Don Callis family and, they're a big deal. And AR Fox is essentially the opposite of Hologram, which is he takes a loss every week on Collision. Um, this is standard for him. So have a good match and take the loss. What do you think of this?
This was a very good match. I will say that. More so, again, I echo everything you echoed. AR Fox deserves better. I know Hechicero is a important guy in CMLL, right? Yes, yes. So
Mhm.
I kind of get it, but on the flip side, it's like, as okay for me personally, I don't think I don't see Hechicero. I don't think Hechicero is big enough to be AR Fox. So I was very like, okay, this is the time AR Fox wins. No, this for he can't even beat Hechicero. What? Dang! Like he can't even beat a Hechicero. Shit! Like come on, bro. But either way, like you said, for me loving AR Fox and barely knowing Hechicero, 8 minutes is a very sweet spot. It was enjoyable, but it is like, dang, like one win. Can we get one win for the homie, please? Dang.
So I'm in full disclosure. I was watching this while I was working, and this next segment, I was on a work. I was on a work call, and it was on silent. I should have paused it because, in hindsight, it was such a bizarre segment that you're going to have to kind of talk about it because I don't know exactly still what actually occurred. I need to go back and watch it, but there was a woman with a bandaged face watching Harley Cameron get
Yes.
all beat up, and then the woman put on a mask, did some sort of weird like it turned around, and then she was Harley Cameron, and the whole thing like I kind of half saw it and didn't see the whole thing. So if you remember it clearly, go ahead and tell the people exactly what happened, because again, I'm at a little bit of a loss to describe it properly. So
So as you know, the last time I saw Holly Cameron, it was her and Anna Jay versus Megan Bain and Penelope Ford in a street fight. And Megan Bain like basically put her face in between the and slammed it into the steel stairs, and her nose broke. Like we like that
okay,
like it was bleeding, right? So that was
right,
Holly Cameron bandaged up, looking at the match again, like oh, like reminiscing of oh, she really jacked me, she really jacked my face up. And so, and Holly, like this is, you can't tell me this wasn't Holly's idea. Oh, this was basically Harley's idea. So basically, she's like, I like this isn't me. I can't watch this anymore. I can't watch this. And basically wrestling with herself. Then she rolls off the bed. No, she sees the man like, ah, like basically like the demon version of the mask with Jim Carrey. And yes, Harley Cameron is coming back. The nose is not healed yet, so she needs a mask. Feel the wrath of Harley Cameron. You were missed. You were definitely missed. So yes, I'm very happy that she's coming back.
I mean, like I said, half watching this while I was on a work call on silent, it was very bizarre at the time, and I haven't had a chance to go back to watch it. So, but nonetheless, I mean, I'm glad Harley Cameron's back. Like you said, much needed. The women's division, I wouldn't say is down, but it's definitely a different group of women than it was, to kick off AEW and your traditional group of like veteran AEW women. And in this new kind of class of women, the Megan Bains, the Harley Camerons, I really like Harley Cameron. I mean, I think that she's got a bright future, and I want a lot for her. I hope, that they push her.
Like
Um,
a breath of fresh
and they,
air, just that entertainment aspect of like, oh yeah, we actually do like her.
yeah, no doubt, no doubt. All right. So, women's match following the women's promo segment. Triangle of Madness versus Ty Mello, Queen Aminata, and Willow Nightingale, who is having an ongoing feud with Thekla. kind of independent, not independent. They have like their kind of one-on-one feud going on along with this the Triangle of Madness faction versus whatever friends, I guess friends, Willow can get together to join her. I'm not, Ty Mello and Queen Aminata and Willow together feels very obviously Frankenstein, mishmash thrown together. But it is what it is. I mean, I guess all these women kind of have whatever with all these women on their own to a certain
Queen
extent. So
Aminata and Willow are friends, but yeah,
right,
I
yeah,
Mello here was more that was more so the oddball of huh? Oh, okay.
yeah. So, as you would imagine with women, most of these women can really wrestle. So it was a solid match. Willow and Thekla had their moments. Thekla and Aminata had their moments. Um, Ty Mello is what she is. She's back, and so they need to give her a spot, I guess, to get her on TV. And this is, whatever they need a third person. She does feel a little out of place. But she took as a result, she did take the pin. She's the one that got pinned by the rock bottom, or after the rock bottom, from the pounce from Willow led to the rock bottom for Ty Mello and then Ty Mello getting pinned. A little under 10 minutes. I thought Aminata came off looking really good in this. I thought Willow and them came off looking really good in this. Shekla continues to look good. Her Triangle of Madness friends. I don't know if this stable is going to get over or if it's long, for whatever, how long they're going to be around. Tekla is definitely the one of the group that I think is the one that actually holds the the one that we want to see, I guess, to a certain extent, has the real talent and is the one that, should be being pushed out of that group. And like you said, in AEW, especially, everyone needs friends, so it is what it is. Um, and I thought this was fine. I mean, I'm glad um, I'm not glad that Willow's team took the loss, but I
Yeah.
guess if someone's gonna get pinned, Ty Mello should take the loss. So, and they're pushing Tekla, the Triangle of Madness, so I guess it makes sense why they get the win here. This all has to come to a head between a big match between Tekla and Willow at some point here soon. So,
Yeah. No,
you know, for
go.
this being kind of roughly the only real um woman spot, because the Megan Bain match was not really what I would call anything. This is fine. I mean, the idea that Triangle of Madness is good enough to be your only big spot in a 2-hour show, I guess is what it is. I'm not there with them yet, but we had Willow, which is fine. And Queen Aminata, who is definitely she's been on our radar for a long time, but I think she's now getting more on the main AEW fans radar. I think the more time she gets on Dynamites and Collisions, the fans that maybe don't watch Ring of Honor or don't know, haven't been paying attention necessarily to some of the other stuff, are now starting to appreciate how good she actually is. So hey, okay, it's fine. What do you think of this?
Yeah. No. I totally agree with you. Like Triangle of Madness, whatever, is the new group, so I guess they should take the win here. Hey D. Um, but more so match wise, this was so good. This was so much freaking fun, and everyone had a good spot. Ty Mello was like, "Listen, just stay away from your husband." Like, honestly, I was cool with Ty. I'm not even joking with you. But the whole her and Sammy on television, it just turned everybody off, and it did not do anybody any favor. So I'm glad it's like, yes, separation. She actually is a great wrestler. I love her little judo throws and everything. That was so fun. The pound. Listen, I haven't enjoyed a pounce like that since Keith Lee pounced Adam Cole. I'm like, yeah, listen, you keep doing like you just a big chick, just yeah, bow. I love it. And Triangle and like and even like we already knew Julia and Sky Blue work well together, but more so incorporating Tekla. Like, okay, we're still working out the kinks. We're still working out the kinks. It's cool. It's cool. So fun match. I enjoyed it, but can we get some win for Willow, please and thank you. Thank you, please. And
Yeah,
again,
and just
Sorry. Real quick. Queen Aminata, yes. I am very glad she's on my television and not behind the paywall of ROH. Her little version of Double Kiss, where it's not onto the floor, but literally ramming the person into her butt. Yes. I don't care about Steve, we call it Stephanie Picard or whatever, however you say it. Stephanie, in my Naomi verse. Don't worry that she's doing it. No, you can do it too. I don't care. It's still fun. But yeah.
Yeah, it's tough because, and I'm not saying that WW. I mean, I'm going to say this, and I'm not even watching WWE at the moment. I'm definitely opposed to them, and I'm never going to say that they're doing better by their women. But the reality is that when you have um, a company that's doing, whether you know begrudgingly or not, doing all women pay-per-views, i.e., Evolution, and then you have a 2-hour weekly show where the women get like 10 minutes. And I'm not saying that the two should be compared. I'm just saying, I mean, I know that on a weekly show on Raw and Dynamite or Raw and SmackDown, it is what it is, as much time as the women get. It just thinking off the top of my head, I just want more for the AEW women in general, especially on a 2-hour show. They should have more than just kind of the one spot, really, when it comes down to it. Or, roughly two spots, one being a squash and then one being I mean, it is what it is. But
Yeah.
um, let's see, Max Cat. I don't know. FTR and them are gloating about their win over the jobbers, but they're on to bigger and better things. Anything you want to say about this little FTR Stokely celebration segment?
Stokely, why would you hype yourself up like you don't know what's gonna happen? You are not gonna be with FTR. You is gonna be by yourself talking about you gonna make Adam Cole go ho. I'm sorry, Adam Copley go ho. I'm like, sir, you know what's gonna happen. But you know what? You let you have this moment because when it's time to go, just be ready. Just be ready. But I'll let you have this little celebration. You go ahead, rock out.
Yeah, I mean, Stokely's funny, and their FTR is trying to show that they're that they have a little bit of fun to them too, and that they can whatever. And so it is what it is. I mean, trying to
They're
add a little life to FTR, a little lightness to FTR, as opposed to being quite so intense all the time. So
yeah. Yeah, I like they're having their version of fun, not that wacky foolishness that WWE was trying. I'm like, that was so over the top, where it was like, who wrote this? Like honestly, I know it was a 78-year-old emotional crackhead in charge. It was like, can y'all please check him because that was a lot. Shaving the back and the cream and stuff. Like this is some wacky, not even attitude era crap. 1989 crap we're doing right with like,
Dolores says, "What's up to everyone?" We posted earlier, but we didn't actually acknowledge it. Hi, Dolores. Thank you for everything. Dolores is our fearless producer. All the graphics you see, all the intros you see, she does all that. So thank you very much. Sometimes you'll catch her on screen too when she decides to come and pop in. Um,
and
if
put and
Dolores, if you're still here, plug your YouTube channel. Dolores has a YouTube channel. Uh, just a pink girl living in the pink world. So go over there and check out her YouTube page. Subscribe over there. She covers everything from wrestling to arts and crafts, TV, all sorts of stuff. So it's a party going on over there all the time. She's got stuff up all the time. So please, Dolores, if you're still here, drop your link in the chat so everyone can go check it out. And please do that.
and
Uh,
watching if anyone is watching Triple Mania, she will be doing a watch along. Dominic Mysterio is gonna be on there with Mr. Iguana. He has an iguana, and so it's gonna be with one of the Americano people. We're not sure which. Well, we don't. I'm not even.
Grande Americanos.
We do know which one it's gonna be, but yeah. So that should be a lot of fun.
Yeah, so yeah, go watch Triple Mania with Dolores on her YouTube channel. And like I said, give her a subscribe and a follow, all those wonderful things. So Max Caster is back again for the Max Caster Open Challenge. It is that time. He does recognize that the fans are clapping a little bit better, but they're still not quite where they need to be. And that leads us into Max Caster versus Katsuyori Shibata. another.
Wait,
Go ahead.
I looked at the commentary, knew that last week was a whole cluster of don't nobody who knew. Like we didn't really know how the survive the five went with Roosh and how he lost. I like to acknowledge that. Like what? How did this happen? No, okay, fine. I'm very much so happy about that.
Yeah. Real quick, there's a link to Dolores' channel, so make sure and check that out. She also says, remember to type exclamation point WWN to drop your link in the chat, and we will uh, put it up on the screen. So that is, again, this is where you can find Dolores, so please go over and check that out. Yeah, I mean, um, after Roosh last week, I talked about it a little bit earlier after he was talking about Roosh last week. After Roosh last week, you can kind of see, I guess, where the tide is changing a little bit on this, and they're kind of coming around, and it's starting to look like maybe we can see some of the light at the end of the Max Caster tunnel as to where the long-term storytelling was going. I felt like we were in the dark for a long time, but maybe there's a little bit of light now, and if it ends up turning around, I'm definitely here for it. At the moment, I'm not necessarily the biggest fan of how they've made him look, but it is what it is. And here's another match against a very quality opponent. Uh, an extremely technical wrestler. When he's going, in my opinion, one of the better wrestlers between the ropes, in AEW. Shibata. So Caster versus Shibata. Um, let's see. Shibata gets the win in a little over 2 minutes. So Max doesn't last. You're supposed to last 5 minutes with Max Caster. Max Caster didn't last 5 minutes with Katsuyori Shibata. Again, just further kind of providing confusion to the whole. What does the 5 minute mark really mean? And who is it for? But before we get to the post match stuff, what do you think of just a 2 minute match between these two?
It's Shibata. Like Shibata is my dude. I do love Shibata, and so this was very much so a nice little surprise. Like, side note, for y'all who cut my Shibata theme music, don't do that. The first part is the sexiest part in the world, and I need y'all to bring that back. And the whole sexy Law and Order into the heat of the night. I'm like, why did y'all cut that? Now like two pieces of that, and then we go to the freaking guitar solo. I'm like, no, give me the sexy Law and Order. Then go to the guitar solo. I digress. Yeah, knowing what to expect with the 5 minute challenge with Max Caster, this is exactly what we expected. And Shibata is still that dude, which is crazy because he is seasoned, right? This is not like he is no spring chicken, and he had a brain injury, but he is still striking like a crackhead emotionally, and I love every minute of it. This was very much so. Yeah, like yeah.
Yeah. Yep, I agree. Post match, LFI comes in and starts beating up on whatchamacallit, on Max Caster and Shibata. Well, more on Shibata, really. And then Jet Speed comes in to make the save, which ultimately brings Hangman down because we are here for our main event, which
Oh,
is Hangman. Oh, go ahead.
real quick, before they got beat down, Shibata actually showed Max Caster respect with a
Oh, he did.
handshake.
That's right. He
So
did.
it's like, yes, now we're getting somewhere. Now we're getting somewhere. It's not just beat you, not just beat Max Caster and leave. Like, hey, you basically, hey, you didn't die while I was beating you up. So good, so good on you. Like, yes, progress.
Yeah.
All we wanted from this, and more so, I get what Alan. I call your first name. I get what you was thinking about. Your worry with Max Caster. It's one thing if this was done to Chris Jericho, and we're like, okay, we know he's gonna survive this, and it's gonna be okay. With Matt Caster, it's like when we do certain things, it's like, can y'all please? There is no guarantee it will work. And so when we just see you getting beat up, it's like, okay, when are we
Yeah.
getting it? So now you're finally showing us, okay, there is progress with this, and he's not just gonna be a jobber. So yes, I'm very happy the little steps towards something different.
I agree with all of that. All of that. All of that. So, main event: Hangman and Jet Speed versus LFI. Um,
Hangman on Collision. Let's go.
Collision, let's go. Yeah, your AEW World Champion is here on Collision with teamed up with Jet Speed. Which is, okay. I mean, Jet Speed's been getting a lot of time on TV. Speedball is great. Kevin Knight is definitely being introduced to the world of to AEW fans. He's been getting some good spots recently. Jet Speed's been getting a lot of time on TV. So, as Mike Bailey should. I mean, I still think his sweet spot somewhere down the road is as a singles wrestler. But again, if you're not convinced that he can be a title holder, then put him in the tag team and let him actually compete for tag team titles there. That to me,
Yeah.
at least I'm happy. At least he's in some sort of title bubble, I guess. So let's see, Buckshot Lariat to finish Drilistico of LFI, a little under 15 minutes. This when you have 6 men in a match. It's these multi-man matches. Sometimes it's kind of hard to follow. I've said that plenty of times. It can get a little crazy and a little. But I thought this one was okay for the most part. 6 men's a little bit better than 8 men or 10 men. And I thought that it's the bulk of this seemed to happen in the ring, which is always better because the camera can catch more of it then, as opposed to outside of the ring with everyone split off against each other and in different areas, and you can't see most of whatever's happening except for what they want to show you. So in that regard, I thought it came off a little bit better. I'm Hangman should get the win here. He's the world champion. His team should get the win here, and they did. LFI hanging around Hangman. I guess one of them wants a title shot. I mean, I'm not totally sure exactly why this is happening here. Like, I don't know why LFI's fighting Jet Speed and Hangman. Like, it doesn't. Sometimes
Yeah.
the storylines don't make sense, make it make sense. But
I'm. I'm.
it was still fun and exciting and for a main event spot for
Yeah.
Collision. Maybe it's a little amp, but again, it's got your world champion in it. So LFI is good. I just don't know that they get enough what I would call TV time to really like make them feel like they're right for the main event spot at the moment. And storyline wise, it doesn't make sense. Jet Speed's been getting time, but they're still not. I don't know if they're at main event level yet. And you want Collision to match Dynamite in theory. That's your goal, right? He's stressed that that's the goal. So I think you might need a little bit more of an impactful main event, but again, you have your world champion in it, and he shined bright. So in that regard, it was good in that regard. What do you think of this? The way it came off and everything, and being in the main event of this episode of Collision, and give us your grade for the show while you're at it.
Right. Look at us. We're actually we're doing better. We got cleared this in an hour. Yes. Yes. Okay. But no, this was a very fun match. If I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty like Collision is such a let's just have fun match show where when they do have rivalries, we don't know about it. I want to say Jet Speed and LFI were beefing with each other. Not sure what that has to do with Hangman, but I want to say Hangman beat one of them in a match, but I don't think that was really a what you call it rivalry thing where you're like, hey, I'm gonna go to Collision, but more so with Jet Speed and LFI. I'm like, okay, cool. But no, looking whenever our world championship comes here and graces with our presence, yeah, it's always welcome for Collision. Like, yes, it gives that extra oomph. And more often than not, this was actually a main event that should have been the main event. Like, okay, Hangman's here. This should be this is definitely main event worthy. But no, this was very much so fun. As you said, a whole lot. Just Kevin Knight and Speedball are just what you call it, going off the wall with LFI, and then Roosh just beating the crap out of people for no good freaking reason. Like, sir, I need you to find a different way to exercise your aggression. That's just me. But he said, in for the buckshot, 1, 2, 3. Just a very fun show. A very fun ending to a very fun show. And grade wise, this I'm trying to think. This really didn't build anything. Like, so the only thing that built to Forbidden Door was we know that it's going to be a fatal 4-way between Nigel McGuinness and Daniel Garcia and two other people to go against Dexter Jr. But besides that, it was like just a fun night of just wrestling, and I'm not mad at it. This was more elevated. I'm not sure. Like this did feel better than last week. Not sure why, but it did feel much better. So I'll give it a solid B. No storylines for no storyline for here, but a solid B. Oh, the other thing was Kyle Fletcher promoting his match and saying New Japan, give me your best. That was the top of the hour. So okay. So yeah, solid B. Solid B. I enjoyed this. There was nothing that was like, huh? Or it's like, that was stupid. Of course, some decisions we don't approve of. AR Fox needed one more. But yeah, this was entertaining.
I mean, I'm a little torn. I'm not totally sure where I sit on this because they had when I look at the names of the people that were on that night, we had Ishii versus Fletcher, which was a really good match. You got Megan Bain on the show. You got Ricochet and Juice on the show. You got FTR. You get Hechicero and AR Fox. You get Willow, Shibata, and Hangman. And at the same time, it felt down for me. Like, I don't know if it felt like it was worse this week than last week. I didn't feel like it was much better. I feel like
Yeah.
between the squash for Megan Bain, um, the squash for FTR and Stokely, um, Triangle of Madness getting the win over Willow in them. I know it was Mello that took the loss, but Willow kind of taking the loss. And basically the squash of Shibata over Caster, even though there's more to the story than that, basically that kind of squash. I don't know. And then the kind of the weird implant of Hangman in the main event segment. You're in Virginia. It's his local area. You want to get him on the show. You want to get him a win. You get him a buckshot. All those things. The crowd loved it. It was great for the crowd. All of it just didn't make sense AEW story wise. So I don't know. Like all those reasons, I think for me this was like a C. I thought this was a C. It was fine. I want more for women. One of your two women segments was a 3-minute squash match or a 2-minute squash match. So I want more for women, just in general. And I just, the main event stuff needs to make more sense. And I just think three squash matches or three matches under 3 minutes in a 2-hour show it's too many. It's too many in one show. So yeah, I thought this was a C. I was a little disappointed.
No, I get that. It's like more so knowing what collision is, I have made peace with it. But it doesn't mean it couldn't be better though.
Yeah, and the reality is that that's to a certain extent that's fine as long as Tony's willing to try to temper down the expectations we're supposed to have for Collision. As long as you're telling me all things are equal and Collision should be as big as Dynamite, and you're not giving it the same attention and energy and power, then there's a disconnect there, right? So, um, you want me to think of it as the same as Dynamite, but you're not putting in the same effort and you're not giving me the same kind of show. So it comes off as the B show. It doesn't come off as two A shows. So, and I think that's because of the booking. And I understand that, like, you want a little soft brand split. One of the positive things about having two shows or 4 hours of wrestling, in a week is that one show you can have some superstars and on the other you can have the ones that don't make it on the other one. But unfortunately, what ends up happening is that it feels like the bulk of your main event stars are on Dynamite having main event style matches, whereas your mid card guys are more on Collision. And when you do have a main event person come over to Collision from Dynamite, it's a squash type situation, or it's a showcase situation where it makes it feel like, oh well, now I know why that person's on Dynamite and that person's on Collision. And that's not. I don't think that's how Tony Khan wants it to be. At least that's what his words are telling us. So I don't know. It feels like you got to do something to equal what you're telling us to expect.
Which is why I like that Heyman was here. I'm like, okay, Heyman is
Yeah,
here. So we are trying to elevate this a little bit. Again,
yeah.
don't know why it was Jet Speed versus LFI, but we'll get take.
All right, so that's the end of our review of AEW Collision from
Uh-huh.
last Thursday, not this past Thursday, but the Thursday before.
Yes.
Um, we Anika gave it a B, I gave it a C, and so now we will move on and review AEW Dynamite from this past Wednesday, and Miss Anika will lead the discussion. Right, so take it away, Miss Anika.
Hi, boys and girls. Yes, this is Dynamite from last Wednesday, August the 13th. Yeah, okay, listen, time's a construct, so I don't care. Okay, so we start off with a promo in ring segment between Hangman Adam Page and MJF. Like, oh, so we're starting off hot today. We see what kind of show y'all trying to be right now. So it starts off. Like, listen. Every time it starts off with our AEW World Heavyweight Championship, it's like, okay, it's supposed to mean business. Okay, we're supposed to get off on a good foot. But MJF and Hangman, they start off with their usual back and forth. Listen, Seabiscuit, everyone thinks that you're so good and so great, and it's like, they're like, but I just see right through you. And when I get this match, I'm gonna do what I do need to get back my championship. I'm gonna break you. And then and again, this Hangman is way different from the Hangman who won his first championship, where it's like it's not naive and he's that dude right now. And so I just love he's like, listen, stupid, have you seen the NFC biscuit? He wins. So it's like you keep calling me sea biscuit. It's a compliment. You, you crackhead emotionally. I'm like, yeah, okay, yeah. I'm like, thank you. Like, hey, you're calling me a winner. So I respect that. And so as you can see, Heyman, so the more so MJF is basically trying to goat Hangman into giving him a championship title match because he's like, when you make a mistake, that's when I'll come in and win. And so, but you're again, you're not dealing with the same Hangman. He knows all of your tricks. He's like, I keep telling you, you crackhead, emotionally, you're not getting this title unless you sign that contract and cash it in. Now, side note, so what? Why did he face Mark Briscoe? I thought like was it just me I thought that I thought he told him if he beats Mark Briscoe he'll give him a title match. Well, okay, as long as I'm not by myself, I'm like. So that kind of threw me out. Like, but you said if he beats Mark Briscoe, he gets a title. You know what? Semantics. You're the champion. It's your rules. You can change them. It's fine. AJ does it every time, every day. It's cool.
That's what I was going to say. This works perfect to a certain extent because this is what MJF does. Like he sets the goalpost and then moves it.
Yeah,
So Hangman's just giving him a little bit of a taste of his own medicine. At least that's kind of how I took it.
yeah, understandable. And then so we get into this part. We get into this little thing where where MJF does the whole. I'm not gonna. I'm gonna sound like a dick, but screw it. The whole woe is me. I got bullied in school. And so it's like, that's why I don't think there is a God. Or if he's a God, he's not nice. Because while I go through that, it's like in my mind, I'm like, oh, boo hoo, you got bullied. It's grown people who get bullied as adults by the police. But it's fine. Whatever. It's fine. That's just me. But I get that's your arc where you just don't want to be. You just want to go to therapy and handle that. But it's fine. Okay. And then he goes, this part was a lot. And so he's like, but you're not a god, Hangman. You're just a mere mortal. And and so this is I'm chopping this up into pieces, but this is what happened. Not in this story time, but just bear with me. He's like, but listen, we're in the ring. You're the main character. I'm the antagonist. What these people say, but you know what? I don't care. I'll be the antagonist, and I'll show these people that you're not God, that you're just a man. And if I'm the devil, then fine, I'll be the devil. And it's like this is, but I'm going to and then come Forbidden Door. I'm going to crucify you on a cross. I'm like, you are doing the most. Right? Like in my mind, like, how did we get here? You're doing the most with these whole biblical phrases. And I'm like, let me just step to the, like, if I'm Heyman, let me just step to the side, because just in case you get struck by lightning, I know you don't believe in it, but just let me just step to the side just in case you just, because you're doing the most. You're doing the most. But again, Heyman, it's like these tricks aren't going to work anymore. He's like, listen, I repeat, I'm not. You don't have a match at Forbidden Door. You keep talking like you have a match at Forbidden Door. You don't until you sign that contract. And so unless so if you want to prove to these people you're not a gutless coward, that you actually have a set to go against me one on one, you'll sign that. You'll man up. You'll sign that contract, and we'll go one on one, face to face. And so of course the whole MJF has the complex of, even though you say you don't you don't care what we think, but we evidently we do, because you do dumb stuff. And so and so again, the whole hyped up the veins in his neck, forbidden. You want one-on-one Forbidden Door with NJF5. You got it. And it's like, that whole that was at the plan. It's like, yeah, that wasn't the plan, you crackhead. Oh my gosh, emotionally. And then Heyman just ends it with, see a Forbidden Door, dumbass. And it's just, and that was perfect. And then MJF just blows a gasket, because yeah, you, like, I'm not sure what game you're trying to play, but you gotta get some new tricks, darling, because those tricks ain't working with this man. He that dude right now. It ain't gonna work. And so that was again, I know I butchered it, but that was the whole segment. It was entertaining. Like I said, sometimes it went off the rails. I'm like, how did the whole God stuff come into play? That's fine. Okay, but you're MJF. You say what you want to say. But I love the destination of MJF tries to trick Heyman, but Heyman turns the tables. And you could have had 2 matches, but you didn't. And that's on you, boo. Like you said, you've been like ALW said, you've been doing this for the past, ever since you got here, moving the goalposts. So listen, one match fits all. I will say this. The thing about it was, I was actually intrigued of them having 2 matches, because I'm like, okay, let them have the first match. If that doesn't work, he'll sign the contract and we'll run it back. And it's like, oh, so we're not running this back? I was very surprised about that. I'm like, I actually wanted us to run it back down the line, but hey, we're going to hit and quit it. Cool. That's fine. Like I said, great segment. What are your thoughts?
Excuse me. I thought it was fine for what it was. I mean, I think that it was a little long in the tooth for me. I think anytime you get 2 guys just kind of standing in the ring talking to each other without really anything happening, I think, for 15 or 20 minutes, which is what it felt like. I don't know what the time was on it, but it felt like it was a long time. And don't get me wrong, both these guys can talk. I love, MJF is a great promo, and Hangman Page is solid. And, I like the contrast in their styles. Hangman is very intense, and MJF is kind of aloof and kind of, doesn't kind of disrespectful to a certain extent, and not totally like, when Hangman's like in his face yelling at him to a certain extent. And so, I kind of like that contrast. I thought they hit their mark here. It does what it's supposed to do, which is hyping their match for Forbidden Door, which is good, because I didn't think there was enough of that on Collision. And I forgot to mention that when I gave Collision a C grade, that was part of why I gave it a C grade. And I forgot to mention that I didn't feel like there was anything really on that show that was really worthy of saying it was pushing towards Forbidden Door, which I understand that it's Collision, it's not Dynamite. But again, if you're going to make a statement like these 2 shows are equal and Collision should carry as much weight as Dynamite, then it should be in its own way pushing as much towards Forbidden Door as Dynamite is, and that should be the focus. So and so I thought that was better here. We start off with this segment, which is definitely leading towards their match. Yeah, I mean, this is obviously a little bit of payback for MJF, because he's normally a couple steps ahead, and here Hangman was able to get in his head and sucker him into 1 match instead of 2, which is what it is. I thought we were going to get the 2 matches as well. I thought it worked out well, because I thought, okay, he can lose 1 and win 1. I don't know how that's going to look, but like, lose the first one, in Hangman's reign, and then Hangman has another maybe couple wins or whatever, and then MJF beats him in the second match and takes the title. Because at some point, MJF is taking the title back, whether it's from Hangman or not. He's going to be champion again. So you just have to decide when that comes and who he's going to take it from. I don't know if Swerve's the guy to take from Hangman. I don't know who's ultimately in Tony Khan's mind to take it from Hangman next. But if it's MJF, then now you back yourself into a corner, or this would imply that maybe it's not MJF because Hangman's not losing the title at Forbidden Door this fast. He's not. So if Hangman gets a win here and MJF has now sacrificed that money in the bank opportunity and those two matches basically opportunities became one, where down the road does he get another shot? So maybe you back yourself into a corner. Maybe this is a way of being able to see into, like I said, Tony's mind a little bit, and maybe he's decided that MJF is not the guy he wants to be Hangman Page at this point for the title. So maybe that's why they're doing it this way. But nonetheless, I'm here for the match at Forbidden Door. It should be very solid. This promo did what it was supposed to do. I just think it was a little long in the tooth for me, especially if you're not going to end up fighting at the end or at some point. Like if it doesn't get physical, this is a long time to just talk to each other, especially about the kind of things that you talk. I don't know about you, and I understand it's entertainment and it's all planned and it's scripted, all that stuff. You're not going to just blast me for 15 minutes with me not doing nothing. Like I'm not just taking your disrespect just face to face and like, nah, I don't have that kind of patience. You know what I'm saying? So like the second thing you say to me 2 minutes into this, you're getting punched in the mouth, especially when it's worthy of it. So like, the fact that two guys that dislike each other, Hangman, who's an incredibly intense person, all of a sudden is willing to just kind of stand there for 15 minutes and do nothing while he goes back and forth and talk shit about each other and no one does anything. It's okay. It is what it is. I'm just not sure I believe that. MJF maybe a little bit more because his character is a little bit more cowardly at times than Hangman. So I can kind of see why maybe MJF wouldn't want to push the physical envelope. But for Hangman, it seems out of character for him to just sit there and just talk for 15 minutes and ultimately do nothing physical. So, but again, it's fine. In a vacuum for what it was, and pushing towards Forbidden Door in their match, it does the job.
Right. Well, so crazy enough, even though the whole biblical stuff come into view, he didn't say anything that was a
Sure.
Going blows the book. But I am kind of like you. Like after 5 minutes, if you're not saying anything new, I'm walking away. I'm like, all right, this is a dumb conversation. But we're setting up a match, so you can't walk away just yet. Now, here comes our first official match of the night. We did So Nice. We're kind of doing it twice, where we're getting Moxley, not against Speedball, but against his partner, Kevin Knight. We are in Cincinnati, his hometown. So this is why I thought the miking, they mic'd up the crowd a little off. I'm like, I felt it should have been louder. And it was loud in some spaces. So I'm like, did y'all not mic this up right? Maybe it's just me. But yeah, I thought it was like, and then you hear them during the match. So I'm like, that's one of the things where I do need y'all to get it together if that was the case. I'm like, it's not off. Like we're already in Cincinnati. It should have been a big pop. And I'm pretty sure it was a big pop, but just wasn't, I didn't hear it as loudly as I wanted to. So
we have talked about, I've talked a little bit about, has Moxley's, run its course a little bit? Is he getting a little stale, a little old, just kind of, whatever? And, the fact that in his hometown of Cincinnati, the crowd he didn't seem to quite get the pop that I would expect John Moxley to get in Cincinnati makes me wonder, like you said, was it an audio thing or is the crowd like, I'm a little John Moxley at the moment, like a little indifferent, not down, but just not quite as up, a little more just kind of like, okay, this is what it is, right? I mean, so I don't know.
Yeah, like I said, and then like during the other, and then there are other segments where again the technical issues were wrong. So I'm going to blame it on technical issues because again, so this match happened. So to start off, this match happened again. Kevin Knight isn't Speedball, but it was like, so it got a little slower to get there. But once it got there, it was all cylinders going on high, and then this is when I thought like, okay, here's the crowd, because the chant was not let's go Knight, let's go Moxley. The chant was let's go Moxley, Yuta sucks. I'm like, how did wait? Wait, that's not you. Just not even in the match. How is this a chant? This is not the chant. This is you supposed to let's go Moxley, let's go Knight. No, like no, we're Cincinnati. We love Moxley, but you just I'm like, you know what? Fair enough, fair enough. I'm gonna let y'all have this. And so, unfortunately, you call it unfortunately, just like Speedball, Kevin Knight lost to Moxley, but again, a very good presentation as single competitors. What were your thoughts on the match before we go to the post match stuff?
Kevin Knight is a solid wrestler, and we're getting to see that. He's on TV a lot. He great rub for being in a match against John Moxley. Unfortunately, it's fairly inevitable that Moxley's getting the win. I don't think there's any world that any time. I don't think anybody thinks that Kevin Knight is actually beating John Moxley. That being said, I thought he had a good showing.
Yeah,
Moxley has the ability to have a good match and make his opponent look good and still get the win. So, which is to me the sign of a really good wrestler, right? I mean, the best wrestlers are the ones that can raise the level, the profile of the match, no matter who they're wrestling. And that's nothing against Kevin Knight, because Kevin Knight is very solid, and I'm glad that he's getting the opportunity. But you're in the ring against John Moxley, who's going to raise that. He's going to give you a solid match every time, no matter who it is with. So in that regard, I thought it was solid. I'm glad Kevin Knight gets a spot here. Um, we've already seen Bailey versus Moxley, so I don't necessarily need to see that again. So getting the other guy, Kevin Knight versus Moxley, works fine.
it,
Um, I'm not totally sure why Moxley's feuding with a tag team. Why one guy Moxley is feuding with a tag team? Because that's kind of how it feels like.
I
I mean, I
think
know it's not, but that's kind of how it feels like. He's wrestled Bailey separately now. Now he's wrestled Speedball separately, but he doesn't have his partner to take on one of them two for him. Like it's him versus both of them. So it's in that regard, it felt kind of, but it is what it is. And the match itself, I thought was fine. We'll talk about the post match stuff in a minute, but the match itself, I thought was fine.
yeah, it's more so like you want to get Speedball. I want a match. I want to. It's like fine,
Yeah,
fine. Well, I'll face you too. But yeah, so again, Moxley wins. He beats Kevin Knight. The Death Riders, here they come. Well, more so right now is Yuta and Narina Shafir beating them up, and here comes Darby with this whole little. Now he didn't want to kidnap nobody this week. He came through the front entrance with a with a duff. What do you call it? A body bag with him, and it's like he stops because you didn't. You're like, sir, you were smart because you was kidnapping one by one, but now you're facing these people. It's three in the ring, but you're Darby, so you don't give a crap. So Darby comes right in to and starts beating people up. He has a good advantage. He's about to put Yuta back in the body bag, and it's like, sir, Yuta, I know you're supposed to be hurt, but you can feel yourself about to be zipped up. If you don't get out, if you don't snap out of it and get out the dang bag. But here comes Claudio. What side note? Was he hurt? Kind of like, hold up, where has Claudio been? I felt like but you are my dude. I want to see you. Don't let anyone tell you different. But yeah, he comes in, he beats up Darby, he gets Yuta out the freaking bag, and of course, it's basically little dead boy versus big strong man. And this is where the fun begins. Where so Claudio puts Darby in the I keep want to call it duffel bag in the body bag and starts just tossing the body bag to and fro. And then he does his patented UFO spin where he has the body bag on his shoulders, spinning with no hands, and just plops it off. And let the body bag hit the floor. It's Darby. He probably is getting he's probably rock hard right now because of that stuff. So now and the body the beat up begins, but here comes Osprey. Osprey is back from his neck injury to come and help Darby out. He goes butt crack crazy on all of the Death Riders, and they both stand tall. He gets Darby out of the duffel bag, and it's like, sir, I don't know. Here's the conversation in my mind. I was like, are you missed? You're always welcome on my screen, but I didn't necessarily miss you. And again, you had the car. if you're gonna come back this early, one more time, why did we do the interview 2 weeks ago where you were like, hey, I'm gonna take some time off to work my neck, and you're not even back at Forbidden Door. You're back 2 weeks before Forbidden Door. So what the freak was that segment? I digress, though. I digress.
Now, in hindsight, what segment, what episode that was on needs to be graded a half a grade lower now, because now we know that he came back. It makes even less sense to have that promo. And at the time, we were down on it. So, yeah.
Yeah, I was like, you couldn't wait till Forbidden Door. You couldn't wait till the week. You couldn't wait till the go home show. No. Okay, fine, whatever. So he gets.
We would barely be getting to the point if he just didn't show up. We'd be barely getting to the point where we were like, "Oh, where's Will Ospreay?" Like, it's been a couple weeks, we haven't seen him, but we wouldn't be thinking anything. You had no reason to come out and say anything.
You like it would have been much better not to have that segment, because, like you said, if he just comes in the surprise, like, "Oh, Ospreay," it's like,
yeah,
you didn't have to. Whatever. Okay, and so. But he is very glad to be back, and I know, like, when you love what you're doing, you don't want to be away from it for too long. He gets the mic and he's like, "Death Riders, I'm going to do the same thing you did to me. I'm going to break your neck." And so, how about Forbidden Door? I get my friends, and you get your friends, and we gonna have a lights out match. And it's like, against
you get your friends, and I'll get my friends, and we can be friends.
That's what that is. I was trying to say it. But Marshall was like, a lights out match against Moxley. Like, no offense, I'm pretty sure you've done one or two of these kinds of matches, but not as many as Moxley. But you, okay, fine. You know what? You have Darby. So you do have an ally in this crazy little wrestling match you about to try to do. And so not he, like, again, Moxley didn't say anything, but basically the head nod of, yeah, let's go. So we're gonna have a lights out multi-man match at Forbidden Door, which should be fun. But in a vacuum, if we're going to leave the part out where Ospreay's announcing that he has to go to rehab, whatever. This was a good match to promote Forbidden Door, and this was a good post match angle as well. I'm going to say the other little snippets of the building up to getting your friends and getting my friends a little later. But this was a very good post-match angle. Your
thoughts? Again, in full disclosure, like I said, I was watching this while I was working, so I didn't catch every single little bit of this. I thought that we were getting Darby versus John Moxley singles match at Forbidden Door, and now it looks like that's changed because Will Ospreay has said, "You get your friends and I'll get my friends and we'll have a match." So now it looks like it's a multi-man match, which I guess is what it is. Here's my only issue with it. My only issue is that on Collision, we had Don Callis say, "You get your best New Japan guys, and we'll meet you at Forbidden Door." So now do we have two? I don't want to two war games type matches. I mean, they're not, but you know what I mean. These big multi-man matches. One on a pay-per-view is enough. Now, I don't know how many men are going to be involved in this Death Riders versus Ospreay guys. I don't know if it's 3-3, 5-5. We'll end up seeing what it ends up being, but like, okay. I mean, so I guess we're getting two Anarchy in the Arena type matches. I mean, it's not, but that's the that's what it feels like. So, which is a lot for one card. I was much more interested in a Darby Moxley singles match, even though I knew that you're going to get involvement because the Death Riders are always involved and all those kinds of things. But I was very interested in that. We've seen Moxley and Ospreay in their orbit with each other. It's fine. We've seen Moxley and Darby in their orbit before prior, but Darby's been gone for a long time. That it feels a little fresh again. Where I don't know. Not that I'm tired of Ospreay and Moxley, and not that they've been like directly whatever, but just kind of like, I don't know. I just want something totally different, and I feel like this isn't totally different. So it is what it is. I think again, like we always like to say on here, in a vacuum, it's fine. The match was solid. The post-match stuff was solid. I'm just not sure that I'm interested in another multi-man match on Forbidden Door.
Yeah. No. Totally understand. With Don Callis, it's going to be a one-on-one match between him and Cal Fletcher. I'm not sure if the rest of the Cal family was
Oh,
listening as well, but I know
oh,
that
okay,
Cal Fletcher is doing a one-on-one match. So at least it's going to be less.
okay,
Yeah. But
okay.
but so you know what?
Because
Screw
the
it.
way Callis called out, I want New Japan's best. I thought it was going to be like, 4 or 5 New Japan guys versus blah 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 blah. And I was like, oh, okay, well that doesn't.
Like, who's to say that Lance Archer and Rocky Romero are going to have a match? But as of Cal Fletcher, it's a one-on-one match.
Okay.
But more so with this, you know what? I'm gonna get confused. So we're not gonna do that. I'm just gonna put all these segments together. So, okay, I'm gonna do the first 2 segments and then we'll figure it out. So
Okay.
after this, we have a interview. Renee Paquette gets a moment in time with Osprey. It's very weird that Osprey is such a hater of Moxley, and justifiably so. But him and Renee have this lovely rapport every time they do an interview, and so Renee Paquette was like, "So how are you doing?" Because like, again, Renee's not dumb. She's like, "Because you told us you have a neck injury. So are you good?" He's like, "You like, look, I'm fine. Don't worry about it. I'll be good to go." So it might be a couple of neck little attacks during this fight out match, and he announces one of the people who's going to be a part of this match is New Japan now president Tomohiro Ishii. What's his name? Wait, which one was it? The ace of New Japan.
Hiroshi Tanahashi.
He is going to be a part of this inevitably 5-man lights out match, and it's like, oh, okay. And then before he leaves, he's like, you know what? Tell your husband next week I want to face to face with him in Glasgow. And she just nods her head. She's like, thank you, darling. And it's just like how do you? Like, I get it, because sometimes you have to compartmentalize. My wife is not the husband, but still, it's like, but they are supposed to be one though. Are you real cool with her and being so mad at her husband? You could have just said tell Mox. You don't have to say you don't have to bring everything together. I'm just like as a Renee fan, I'm like you don't stop badgering this woman. She's just here to do her job. As long as she don't help her husband beat nobody up, she is just doing her job. So you have to go leave her alone with all these little taunts. But that was the end. So right now, again, I'll reveal the rest of it after the next match, or the next 2 matches. But yes, right now it will be Osprey, Darby, and the 8th of New Japan Wrestling in this lights out multi-man match against the Death Riders.
Yeah, Tanahashi is well past his prime, and he's got 2 bad knees, and this is not, when I think of, you know, the best that New Japan has to offer. I understand, and I think if I'm not mistaken, he's still the president. I understand that he's in charge. He's a veteran. He's one of the OGs. He's carried New Japan for a long time. I still think if you're trying to bring the best representatives over here now to show what New Japan is, don't know that him in his current iteration physically is the best choice for that. Now, his name carries a lot of weight, and it is Tanahashi and all those things, but at the same time, like if you bring him over and he's 42-year-old Tanahashi, it's not it's like there's a disconnect here with the US fans. It's like, okay, yeah, we know the name, we know what, and if you don't have a lot of experience with him, and this is basically what you see, it's like, oh, wait a second, why is he such a big star on New Japan? Well, because he's been great for the last 20 years, not just today. Like now he's old and slow. So I don't, and it's beyond that because he has 2 bad knees. So, I don't know. I wasn't, when they announced that it was Tanahashi, it didn't surprise me because he's a huge name, but I was a little underwhelmed by this just because I know what his physical limitations are in the ring at this point. So in that regard, it is what it is. There's other guys in New Japan that are younger that I think are, going to be the faces of the company coming up. And even though the names don't carry as much weight, there's probably a similar lack of experience with whoever it is. Even though you might know the name, you probably still aren't overly, you know, um, in tune with Tanahashi. You might just know the name, and so if it's just about the name, like there's other guys that could come over and give a better showing. Um, so but it is what it is. I guess to a certain extent, I'm kind of looking forward to it. We'll have to see how the other people, who all ends up being in this lights out match. Lights out always, it is what it is. Someone has to go to sleep, so that's I don't know. That's Moxley's forte, so it feels like you're trying to tell me that Moxley's going to, end up choking somebody out. But maybe it'll end up working the other way, and this is a perfect time for Moxley to be choked out or something. I mean, I don't know. So we'll have to see what ends up happening. When I first heard Lights Out, I thought I was really stoned. So to be fair, I heard lights out and I thought they're turning lights out. We're doing another like no lights in there. Okay, that's not what they mean. They mean unconscious lights out. Like I thought they were gonna like turn the lights out and have some sort of like weird, you know, dark lighting, that stupid red lighting match that we've had or whatever, the fiend type matches. And I was like, no, I'm not here for that. But no, he means unconscious, which works obviously in Moxley's wheelhouse. So it should be fine. We'll see what the match looks like in Forbidden Door. This is building towards Forbidden Door, which is exactly what we asked for. Good, bad, and different. So at least it is what it is, right?
It is what it is. Yes, and more so, lights out means unsanctioned. So it's like this is not in the rule book. Even though we're gonna remember that it's a one that whoever wins in the rule book
Uh,
never happened.
which I love because like when AEW first, let me tell you, when AEW popped on the scene 5 years ago, and they were going to have a win-loss record that
Yes,
actually had an impact. I was so excited. I was like, "Oh my god, finally we're gonna get like a feel of real." Even though I know it's scripted, I know it's gonna win. It's gonna feel more like real competition because these guys are gonna be ranked. The fourth guy on the list is gonna challenge the third guy on the list, and if he wins, he moves up. You know what? It never worked out that way. So if you have no wins losses, or you do, but it's not a big deal, what's the point of an unsanctioned match? Like it makes no. Who cares? Like who cares? You're not really. I mean, you're keeping track, I guess, somewhere in some logbook of who wins and who loses. But like it has no impact or importance. So it kind of, in that regard, unsanctioned means nothing to me. It's still on AEW TV with an AEW referee. You know what I mean? I mean, how unsanctioned can it be, right? It's not like it's on it's not like it's off AEW TV in a parking lot somewhere where just two guys going at it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so okay, whatever it is. It's just semantics and it's irritating, but fine.
the ref is just there to count the 1, 2, 3. Sure. All right. So now we have our listen. Now we're getting Collision. I kind of get okay. We had 1 in 25% of a women's match. This was egregious as hell. So we have this multi-woman match where it's gonna be Tekla and Sky Blue versus Mercedes Monet versus Alex Windsor, Queen Aminata, and Willow. Okay, cool, right? We're all beefing with each other. That's fine. This match will make sense. No, we're not going to have any more time on the match in the show. So let's have Tony Storm come out and watch it on the freaking balcony, even though you're not there's your opponent is not here. So not like, yeah, you're Alex Windsor's friend, but did you really have to be in the balcony and do the whole thing? But no. To upstage her, here's Athena, and she's in the next balcony on the other side, and she's here to watch the match. Don't know why, because like at least if Billy's in the match, okay, that's your minion, your mentee. No, Billy's not in the match, so there's no point of you being here. So it's like it really is. It's like so really, we had no time for another women's segment. Let's do all of this right now. You know what? It's fine. It's fine. Whatever. It's fine. The match start. This is a great. This was again. These women are great, so it's gonna be a fun match. I love that Mercedes Monet was trying to be a part of the Triangle of Madness when they first came out. It's just like, yeah, these chicks, and then they did the whole hand circle thing, and Mercedes came in like, yes, prayer circle. I was like, I don't think they're praying, baby. They're just in a circle, but it's hilariously fun. So that was hilarious where she's trying to build teamwork with the crazy chicks, basically. But yeah, this was again great interaction. Queen Aminata versus Mercedes Monet. Yes, please, because they had their little spot in the match, which was great. Mercedes Monet took we're calling it doubles kiss. We gotta call it something else. The Queen's kiss or the Queen's hearts. There we go, Queen's hearts, where she was taking it to the face. I appreciate that. Willow with her patented pounces were so great. Alex Wenza. I'm like, sure, okay, fine. She picks up the win with a sharpshooter. Okay, I'm still getting used to her as a wrestler. So I'm not sure what her finishers are, or what she, what's basically her character. But she picks up the win for her team. It was cool. It was a very cool thing. Is it better than, because we're comparing it? Is it better than Collision? I don't know. I'm gonna say no. Which is crazy. I'm gonna say no. But this was still a good match. But what are your thoughts on next? We do all the post match angle stuff.
So it's very weird because like it's essentially the same match as Collision, except we replaced Anna Jay with Mercedes Monet and Ty Mello with Alex Windsor. And on paper, those two are dramatic upgrades as far as wrestlers go, at least from what we've seen from Alex Windsor over Ty Mello. And we definitely know Mercedes Monet is way above Anna Jay in wrestling ability. So on paper, this should have been
Julia Hart.
I'm sorry, Julia Hart. On paper, this should have been a better match. But for whatever reason, it didn't work. It didn't work out that way. Like, it's kind of weird. This was fine. It was fine, and at least I guess the Willow team, the faces got the win here, unlike last week. So I guess that's better. Again, yeah, I don't know why Tony Storm and Athena care at all about what's going on here. If anything, if anything's going on here, these women are somewhat hovering around Mercedes and the TBS championship. So I don't know why the world champion has anything to do or cares at all ultimately about what's going on here. Yeah, I mean, these women are in her division. Like you said, she's friends with Alex Winter, so I guess I kind of get that. But and then, Athena's here to troll Tony because of their match. So I guess I kind of get that. But it's like, now you're overshadowing that, which is tough to do because Mercedes is hard to overshadow, but you kind of overshadow it. And then, so I don't know. It didn't quite work out like I think it should have, even though on paper it should have been a better match because you have better wrestlers in the match. Alex Windsor getting the win and the pin is not surprising for how she's been booked since she's been there, but it is surprising to me how fast it's all come to her. We've seen a lot of wrestlers come and go, male and female, and I don't know why they choose to do what they do with who they do it with at the time. For me, she hasn't done anything to the point where it's special, where I'm like, okay, I see for me, she's not a Julia or a Stephanie Vicaire where like you can't keep them off of TV. You can't, you know what I mean? Like she's solid, but I don't, the fact that she's on and now it's been less than a month and she's getting, I mean, she get wins over everybody I mean, she's got a rocket strapped to her back. And I know that we're going to joke about it and maybe it's not a joke, maybe her husband does have some impact on that. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I'd like to think that Tony Khan, that Will doesn't come to him and say, "Hey, my wife's a wrestler, give her a spot." And Tony says, "Great, well, we'll put her in the main event. We'll put her in give her a nice prominent, as long as you stay or part of his contract is you got to get my wife. I mean, I hate to think any of those things. I'd like to think that Alex Windsor is earning the spot she has on merit, on her ability. But, I don't know. It's happened very fast and very quick. And I don't know why her as opposed to some other people that it never seems to happen with, where I don't feel like the talent gap is that big a difference. So, again, it is what it is. I still think, I tend to think that even though I wasn't a big fan of it, I do think last week's match or the Collision match might have been a little bit better despite having more, big name people in it, i.e. Alex Windsor and Mercedes Monet. So yeah, it's kind of weird the way that happened, but okay. I mean, for what it was. I mean, I'm also still frustrated that, and now on Dynamite, it's even more egregious that this is a one woman's segment on a 2-hour Dynamite. On Collision, we had two, at least, even though the Megan Bain was a squash, we had two. They separated them, 2 in 2 hours isn't enough. but 1 in 1 hour definitely isn't enough. And especially when you squeeze everyone together. You got Tony and Athena, and then you got all these other. I mean, it's like, okay, we got one woman segment, we got 20 minutes. Let's see how many we can squeeze on the screen at one time. And that's extremely disappointing because a lot of these women deserve much more than that. So
And I think that's why it was a worser match. They were trying to do too much in this one segment. If it would have just been a multi-woman match, and you, like I said, you separate Tony and Athena from this, then maybe it would have been like, I think they're doing too much, and that's probably why it didn't come out better than the Collision match.
agreed.
But like we said, Alex Windsor won, and then of course here comes the brawling. And then we have Triangle of Madness brawling with Athena and Queen Aminata, and then while everyone is up the ramp, we have alone Mercedes Monet and Alex Windsor in the ring, and Mercedes is just beating the crap out of Alex Windsor. It was Sky Blue who took the sharpshooter for the win. It was not Mercedes Monet. Just protect the champion. But yeah, so she's beating up She's beating up Alex Windsor. Somehow, I wasn't sure about it, but somehow Athena and Toni Storm started brawling in the stands, and that led to the ramp where Athena was basically in control of Toni Storm, gave her a super kick, and then when she was trying to do another move, but Toni Storm reversed it, and then she was on top and started hammering Athena, and that led to Alex Windsor being in control of Mercedes, and then so Alex Windsor and Toni Storm are in the ring, standing tall, and Mercedes Monet and Athena are backing up the ramp, and so Toni Storm, in her Toni Storm fashion, at your little sexual indie windows, if you will, says that how about you and you versus me and Alex Windsor next week in Glasgow for a tag team match. Raise your tits and let's tango. And then Alex Windsor just dance in the ring. We're going to have. I am excited about this next week. Toni Storm and Alex Windsor versus Athena and Mercedes Monet. I am very happy, and I can't wait for that. That should be a very, very good match. Again, like I said, this was a decent little thing. This could have been done better though. Like again, you scrunching this up into one segment, it just boo, 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 boo. I think it was. No, I know it was SP3 that had a great idea. Just have the next segment or a segment down the line, Toni Storm and Athena having a face to face, and because Alex Windsor is her friend, she's at ringside, and then that's why Mercedes Monet attacked Alex Windsor, and you do this whole thing just in a different segment. Like, just give it time to breathe. Like, it was fine, but like, yeah, you just doing it all in one segment. It was just like that was a lot. But what do you think about all the post match stuff?
I mean, I agree. You just got to let it breathe a little bit. I mean, the post match stuff is fine. I mean, um, ultimately we get what should be a very solid match: Toni Storm and Alex Windsor versus Athena and Mercedes. We get can they coexist between Athena and Mercedes because they've had their issues. And as much as I'm excited for Athena and Toni Storm for the World Championship at Forbidden Door, I do think I ultimately thought when this all started, we were going for Athena versus Mercedes. So it's going to be interesting to see how they can coexist as a tag team in this match. And the match should be fun. I mean, four extremely talented wrestlers. And there's no reason to think, I mean, obviously Alex Windsor, we haven't seen near as long or don't have as much experience with. So I guess, if there was a question of, if there's anyone that could potentially be a weak link in these four, I suppose it could be her. But she's shown over the month that she's been here that she's up to the task and that she's a extremely solid wrestler. So I have no reason to not expect her to come and show out as well and perform well. So yeah, I mean, this match should be fine. Again, it's probably going to be the only match on Dynamite for the women. So we'll see. Hopefully not, but we'll see. We can hope for more, but probably the one obligatory match on Dynamite. So if that's the case, again, you've got four women at least, that are good representatives of the women's division. Yeah, I mean, I think this is fine. Ultimately, this segment, like you said, like we talked about, it's frustrating because they're trying to do too much in too short a period of time. You got to let it breathe. You need more than one woman segment, whether it's this group of women or not. You still need more than one women's segment in a 2-hour show. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, you get points down from me on that, and those kind of things. But again, um, this was fine, I guess, to a certain extent for what it was, right?
It is what it is. All right. And so now we have finally Copeland versus Stokely Hathaway. Adam Copeland comes out, and this and this is, and so Cincinnati wanted to be like, hey, we don't have Jericho Judas, but we're gonna sing this song, the whole Edge song, understand, I see clearly, and you cut the music off and keep going. See, I don't know the song, so I'll be doing this during and designing on tonight and a place. Everything. Here, I know this part. Just to feel alive, It's like that. Listen. Even though we don't like him, I'm going to give the credit to I'm going to give the credit to Chris Jericho with the crowd singing someone's theme song. You can tell how awesome it is when you can when people are that in when you see fans love you that much to sing a theme song. It really is something special. Like we had Chris Jericho's Judas, and then we had Money in the Bank with the Usos singing "Knock 'em all out, knock 'em down." I'm like, hold up! I didn't know the words to the doggone theme song. Y'all so cool. And uh, then we have in Paris Orton, and like they talk to me, and he was like, that was the best crowd. No one's singing my theme song. I'm like, sir, you've been a bad guy for 85% of your career. There is no need to think. I know we all knew the theme song, but you were the bad guy. We couldn't do this to you, but now you're a good guy. We can do it to you now. But yeah, so I'm pretty sure when like yeah, Adam Copeland was doing the last little part, that was a very nice little moment. And then Stokely's music comes out. Stokely isn't here. Stokely's not. That I guess that little bright note of courage really faded really easily, because here comes security dragging out Stokely to the match and placing him in the ring. And Adam Copeland with his look on the face like, yeah, we're really doing this. This is gonna be stupid. And so we have Stokely turning around, and I guess once the bell rings, he's like, listen, there's no going back. He goes for a spear. He hits Adam Copeland, but then he just falls. And this is the beauty of Stokely Hathaway. And of course, this crowd is now going back crack crazy. Like, one more time. Well, why would y'all do this? He didn't do it the first time.
He didn't do it the first time.
And so Adam Copeland is trying to egg him on. He does it, but this time Adam Copeland just steps out the way, and it's just like we're off to the races. We're off to the freaking races. And of course, Adam Copeland is just beating the crap out of him. He goes to the crowd, and listen, this is why when you have good fans, it can turn a good match into a great match. He goes to a fan, like, why Stokely's not gonna win? He's like, he's bald. He can't get no home. So he's like, but of course, listen, Adam Copeland, come here. Because I'm pretty sure someone watches this. Baby, you're pushing 50. So you can't jokes that you could do in the Attitude Era, you can't do now. You just have to let it sit. If someone in the audience does it, just let it. Just let them do it. You don't do it. Cause Adam Copeland gets the mic and he holds in the house. I'm like, that is not no one's gonna chick is raising their hands to be a hoe. It's like, how about you?
Well, why did so many women clap?
Because we understand the joke, but no one's volunteering to be Stokely's hoe. Like no. And again, you're 50. Just let the dude in the audience say what he said and let it go. And so we get back in the ring, and inevitably Adam Copeland spears Stokely. Here comes FTR, and Adam Copeland's egging him on like, hey, listen, you know what you gotta do. What you gonna do? Are you gonna save him? Are you gonna save him, or are you just gonna stand there? So they try to get to they try to get. So they actually do come to Stokely's like, oh, you actually came to Stokely's aid. That's so sweet. You don't have to do that. You could just let him get beat up. And so, but Adam Copeland's still fighting him off. And then Adam Copeland goes into the side of goes to the corner of the ring. Stokely hits him with baby powder. And then it's a DQ. So instead of Adam Copeland getting the win with Stokely Hathaway, we're going to turn in one of our DQ finishes for this. For Stokely not getting beat by Adam Copeland. Okay, sure. It was gonna be a cluster of foolishness. But you could have kept that disqualification in your back pocket for someone else. You did not have to use it for this match. You didn't. You could have just let him get pinned, and then FTR starts beating him up. You could have done that. I don't understand. I'm confused. But what do you think about this whole match, if you want to call it a match?
Weird because I thought that it started out okay. I already have my issues with Copeland versus Hathaway. I'm not a big fan of putting managers in that spot, especially when it's a manager that is clearly already the idea in his character is that he's not really a wrestler, he's not a fighter, that's why potentially I guess he's only a manager. So and Adam Copeland is a veteran. He's a multiple time WWE World Heavyweight Champion. He's a Hall of Famer. So, I mean, I had my issues to begin with, but I thought it started out okay when I enjoyed the security having to drag Stokely out, even though I'm not a big fan of making him look that cowardice. It still does kind of fit in his wheelhouse. So, I thought that was okay. I thought it was fun when Stokely tried the first spear and it didn't really do anything. I really, when the whole stuff with the women in the crowd and Stokely and the misogynistic stuff started and the sexist stuff started, for me it became very uh, I became very disenchanted with it, and it became almost kind of egregious to a certain extent. And then the ultimate way that it ended with. Like you said, I don't know, I'd call it wasting a DQ, but yeah, I mean, Stokely could have easily just been pinned here. I understand why he's not, and I guess at least the baby powder, um, blocking the spear attempt, or in lieu of it made Stokely look like he was at least had some intelligence, some sort of idea of what he was going to do, because the 4 minutes of the match, he basically looked like as stupid a person as you can get, right? Like, I mean, all the things he was trying was dumb. I mean, it made him look like there's nothing. Not only is he not physical, he can't fight, but he's not overly intelligent because he continues to try to do stuff that he shouldn't try to do. So, in that regard, it felt kind of burying Stokely a little bit, which I don't like. So at least the baby powder, I guess, in the end of the DQ somewhat gives him some like, okay, at least he did something positive in the match. But yeah, no. And then, by the time the match itself was done, I was like, this was really bad, honestly, when it really boils down to it. There was nothing really good about this. And so, yeah, I don't know. This could have never happened for me. The post match stuff, I guess, makes it somewhat okay because we're going to talk about it. We ultimately get something I really wanted, and I wasn't sure how we were going to get there, and we've gotten there. So I'm happy for that. But for this to be the vehicle to get there, by the time it was done, I was very underwhelmed and frustrated, honestly. Like you said, that the host stuff doesn't doesn't hold water in this time and age. Like you can't. It's not the same culture, and he's got to know better than that. And Tony Khan has to know better than that. I mean, you have to. I don't know how much scripting there is I don't know how much Adam Copeland says to Tony Khan, I'm going to say this or I'm not going to say this. I don't know if that was an audible. I don't know what that was. But if that was approved backstage, that's a bad approval. If it was off the cuff, then it's what it is, and Adam Copeland, needs to own that. But if that was approved backstage, we're going to ask the crowd if there's any hoes out here. We're going to say that, like, that's really bad. That needs more scrutiny. So, yeah, I was frustrated by the time that this was all done.
Like
The match.
no, yeah. When the crowd person said it, like, okay, he listened last week. Okay, laugh, ha ha ha. And but just leave it there. When you're a pushing 50 white man, you can't do this. You can't, like, you don't have, like, no offense. If you're not a comedian, that part too, and you don't know how to use what the audience member said, just let it die. It was a nice one with the audience member where you asked him why he was gonna lose. Then let it go. But you, like, no, it didn't transfer in your brain to say, hey, I can't say this. No, okay, fine. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, all right. So post match, they're beating up Adam Copeland. Here comes someone out of nowhere, Mr. Christian Cage, with Adam Copeland's little buddy Spike to help fend off FTR. Here comes the patriarchy to help, but he starts swinging for the fences against Nick Wayne's head and Kip Sabian's head. And Adam Copeland and Christian stand tall. They're back to back, walking backwards. They bump each other, look around. It's like, oh, wait. Because last time this happened, you said that you were just trying to get payback. But now you're here. What are you doing here? And he just hands Adam Copeland the spike and he goes to leave. But Adam Copeland stops him. They hug. Yes! Adam Copeland and Christian are back. Yes! He didn't push him off. Yes! It's finally here. It's literally, what? Has it been 2 years we waited for this? It's 2 years of this freaking reunion? And so Adam Copeland accepts the hug. He gets out of the ring. He's walking out. He does a little look back. He keeps walking. This was this was nostalgia. I like it. I was in my field. I do think we rushed this just a little bit. I am like hold up, wait. I feel like we could have done this like the week before Forbidden Door, or maybe at Forbidden Door, and then I didn't know this until I was like watching a podcast, listening to the news. They're gonna be in Canada at all, either at before All Out or after Forbidden Door. So I'm like, y'all didn't want to do this in Canada? So it's like this was a very, like I said, very. I like the moment. The moment was cool. It did feel very much so rushed, where it's like we couldn't just chill out on this just for a couple of more weeks. It did feel rushed, but it was still a great segment. Like I said, we waited 2 years to be together. Not sure what we're gonna do, how this run is going, if this is official start to the run, because Christian still felt a little, what you call it, apprehensive, but he did accept it. So I'm like, not sure how this run is gonna go, but hey, let's see. Let's see. We're finally here. Let's go. Any thoughts?
I mean, when Christian first came to AEW and they announced, Tony had the special announcement, Hall of Famer, and they brought out Christian, I feel like there was a certain amount of people that were kind of underwhelmed by that announcement at the time, and were like, oh, it's only Christian Cage. And now they've come to discover, if you didn't know before, Christian Cage is that dude, and he's been doing, great work since he's been here. Then when Adam Copeland came here, anyone that was watching that's a WWE fan and watched Edge and Christian, it was like, oh, they're both here. Maybe we can get Edge and Christian back. And that was kind of, I was like, oh, that's, that's very juicy, because, I mean, they're one of the, they were one of the best tag teams in the world at the time. And looking back, they're Hall of Famers and they're a Hall of Fame tag team, and they're one of the best to ever do it. So I'm excited for that. It's weird because I say all that to say it's been a long time coming. Copeland's been here for a while now. He was out injured for a while. He's been around, and they had their little feud, and they circled each other, and it felt like, how long is this going to take for them to finally come together? When are we going to do this? Well, really, as great a work as Christian's doing, now that Copeland's here, unfortunately, the only thing people want to see is Edge and Christian. So now that he's here, when are we going to get to this? And then they started to get to it, and then it came too fast. Like you said, it's almost happened too fast. Like, you literally just had a run in where you guys basically hated each other 3 weeks ago, I think, and now all of a sudden it's like, and don't get me wrong, I understand you guys have years behind you, so it is what it is. It's easier to put something new, bury that, and come back to all the good feelings that we've had for our whole lives together because we're best friends, and everybody that knows anybody knows we're Edge and Christian and all those things, right? So, like, I get that, and at the same time, it feels rushed in this particular little moment right now in this last 3 weeks to a month, which is really weird to say because we've been waiting for this for so long. So, but we are here. It appears we're here at least. I mean, we got them hugging. I think we're getting a Christian, a Cage and Cope reuniting, potentially as a tag team. I don't know if it's going to be against Nick Wayne and Kip Sabian first to get something under their belts to see how, they work together now because it's been a while since they've been in the ring together as a tag team. And, that's good. Man, Christian was looking to do some serious damage. He was swinging spike heavy. Like, I was like, whoa, dude, like, that's a big board with a lot of spikes in it. Like, you can't swing it that hard. You accidentally mess around and actually hit somebody, they're going to be in big trouble. So,
Sure.
because he took a big swing at Nick Young Nick Wayne with that thing. So, but no, I mean, I'm happy that we're here. Um, so yeah, it's fine for what it is. I mean, I'm happy that we're ultimately going to get Cage and Cope, Edge and Christian back together again. That makes me happy. So we'll see how it plays out. But right now, that makes me happy. But I agree with you. I do feel like you waited and waited and waited so long, and then you did it so fast when you actually finally had the opportunity to do it. It's kind of odd, but
Yeah. And then it's official. We are going to get Christian and Adam Copeland versus Nick Wayne and Chris Sabian at Forbidden Door.
after been which this card, it feels like I got to look at the card again, but it feels like the card is getting kind of long, and Tony Khan likes to do long pay-per-views. I don't know that this is a match that needs to be at Forbidden Door. It feels to me like Forbidden Door is for dream matches, one-offs that aren't normal AEW storyline type of situations. And this is I don't want to say it's mid-card because it's got Christian and it's got um, Copeland in it, and we want more for Nick Wayne. This feels like kind of a mid-card moment for them or a warm-up moment for them, and I don't know that it belongs at Forbidden Door. I'm assuming, maybe this is wrong to assume, but I'm assuming it will probably be on the 0 hour for Forbidden, just because I don't know how it breaks the main card. But again, Cope and Christian, I mean, Adam Copeland and Christian on the 0 hour. I mean, I don't know, maybe because he has that star power, it breaks into the main card. But this feels like not a Forbidden Door match, in my opinion. As well as do some of the other matches. Like, it feels like this Forbidden Door more than others, and maybe I'm just a hostage of the moment, and I'm not really remembering previous ones. This is the third one or the fourth one. The previous ones as much, but like I feel like especially the very first one and more the second one were more, like I said, kind of unique exhibitions. Let's come together, have these dream matches that you don't normally have. They're not necessarily part of the AEW everyday storyline, and that made them kind of interesting. And now it feels like it's just a regular pay-per-view where the storylines just feed into it. So
But no,
that's
like
not to take away. I know that sounds in contradiction to what I said about, oh, this isn't building to Forbidden Door enough. But the reality is, I say that because now they booked it in a way that these are AEW storylines. So you do need to build them towards the pay per view that they're going to take place on. Like, if you're going to keep it as a one off exhibition dream match, then don't worry about building towards it. You just have the two guys and it's fine, or whatever the competitors are. But if it's going to be a pay per view that follows in all the AEW storylines and this blends into this, then you do have to build to it as much as you can.
yeah, and unfortunately, most of the main stars from New Japan are now in AEW. So that whole contrast, like the first two Forbidden Doors, Osprey wasn't here yet. What's his name? Bang bang. Jay White wasn't here yet. Okada wasn't here
It
yet. So
wasn't
like
here yet. Yeah.
still over there, and we're still, and I didn't know these people, so like, oh, who are these guys? And right now, even though New Japan is still good, I don't know these people like that. Where it's like, and then especially I'm not surprised. Where it's like, oh, okay, cool.
No, but to be fair, like that first Forbidden Door was where we got to know some of these guys. And it was
Exactly.
a perfect vehicle to get to know some of these guys. So in that regard, bring over some of the new young guys that are big name stars in New Japan and let us meet them here. This is a perfect venue for us to meet them. Bring them in a couple weeks earlier, show us who they are, show us video package, give them a warm-up match, and then let them have a match. Like the fact that we've brought over, what are considered the big people in New Japan are now here in AEW, well then keep it that style. Give us what we had that first year when we didn't know these guys, and give us guys that we don't know, so that we can get to know what's going on over there to a certain extent. Even though we're not going to watch, we'll still have a better idea of at least who's over there doing whatever they're doing, right? I don't know.
No. I agree with you. All right, so next match is a multi-man match. We still have Don Callis and the Young Bucks still having a joint business ship. Yeah, sure. And of course, Matt and Nick Jackson are still not getting their respect they're due with their entrances. They're not like the screen does not say the Young Bucks or even Matt and Nicholas. They're saying, let me get it straight. Mr. Instant Replay and Slick Nick, which was evidently where their names when they were doing when they were doing behind their house. I'm like, that's adorable though. That's adorable.
It's stupid though.
It's so stupid. They get to the ring, and the announcer says, "We have these guys," and the others are like, "What you talking about? These guys? If you don't say our names," and it's like, "No, we have these guys with the Don Callis family," and then you have Kyle Fletcher comes out with all his glory. It's like with the TNT champion Kyle Fletcher, and they get all up in the announcer's face. I love that announcer. That announcer is so good at his freaking job.
Justin Roberts is the best out there for sure.
Thank you, Justin Roberts. He's one of the best. Okay, and so we have, and then Kyle Fletcher and Josh Alexander with the Young Bucks. On the other side of the fence, we have Brody King, Bandito, Ishii, and like we said on Collision, they Don Callis and Kyle Fletcher told them, hey, bring your best from New Japan, and here comes one of them. I don't know who this guy is, but he has a lot of pizzazz. And if I say it wrong, just tell me if I'm saying it wrong. Just say it. Hermono Tanahashi is in the building. Close enough?
Hiromu Takahashi. But yes, close enough.
Yes, let's go. And so I love Kyle Fletcher's face when they announced his name. Like he was just like, I know what I said, but I didn't mean him. It's like basically like, I know what I said, but I didn't mean him. The match starts and we are off to the races. Again, all of these people are good. I don't know who Homaru is, but he was very much so a very great staple in this match. And we have the Young Bucks still being the Young Bucks. Like I know you probably see stuff 10 years, 15 years ago, but it feels like it don't feel like time has done anything towards them wrestling in the ring. Definitely with Matt Jackson. And then we have Mr. Brody King, who you're with Bandito. So you're like, hey, let me fly more with freaking Tope Suicidas, like an emotional crackhead that you are, sir. You are over 6 foot tall and you was big. What is he doing? And then we have, like I said, or the Ishii is just, Ishii, which I love him so much. But all in all, they have Homaru pinning Kyle Fletcher, and the good guys win this match. And at Forbidden Door, it will be him versus Kyle Fletcher 1-on-1 for the TNT Championship. This is the Forbidden Door matches that we have been expecting, and based on this match, that match should be great. Any thoughts?
Just a couple things.
And side note, so like I said, everything basically clashed down. Freaking Young Bucks gonna super kick the announcer. It's like sir, listen. I'm pretty sure someone told him to do that. They got fined, but that was hilarious. Like, you don't have to do that, man. You didn't have to do that to the announcer. That was so egregious. But yeah, it was so much fun. All right, next you go.
Well, I don't in any way, shape, or form want to come off as correcting you in any way, but I believe it was hologram instead of Bandito.
Yes,
That was actually,
thank you for that. Thank you for that. It was
and I
hologram,
and I,
not
and I,
Ben.
and I think it was Josh Alexander taking the pin, not Kyle Fletcher, if I'm not mistaken. I think Josh Alexander got pinned by Takahashi, if I'm not mistaken, because I think the deal is that they didn't have Josh or Kyle take the pin because he's going to be wrestling Takahashi at Forbidden Door for the TNT champion or for the championship, right? So I listen, Takahashi when they made the Tanahashi announcement, Takahashi was the guy that they should have had. Like, Tanahashi has the name, but Takahashi is the guy that's in his bag at the moment. Like, he's been around for a while, but he's a big deal in New Japan at the moment. He's still kind of on the younger side. He's not young, but he's on the younger side, and he's kind of on the new generation. I'm not gonna say he's still in the Tanahashi Okada generation, but he's like a few years younger, so he comes off as a little bit, and he started a little later, so he's kind of the it guy at the moment in New Japan. There's a lot of them, but he's one of them. So him coming over was like, whoa, holy shit, here's Takahashi. Like, for me, that was a big deal. So I was very happy to see that. I'm excited to see him versus Fletcher at Forbidden Door. That should be a phenomenal match. This match came across fine for what it was, getting an introduction for Takahashi to the U.S. For people that don't know him, I thought he came off looking really good. The Young Bucks are always fun. The Justin Roberts stuff is great with them. Just the overall trolling between them, the two of them, is just hysterical. And I love that the Young Bucks are secure enough in who they are that they have no problem making fun of themselves.
Yeah,
Some people, and I'm guilty of this. I'm personally, in my personal life and in the real world, as well as in stuff that I watch. Like, sometimes I have an issue with being whatever and looking like, oh, that's embarrassing. And at the same time, like, it's okay to just have fun. And you know what I mean? Like, there's nothing wrong with that. And they have no problem being self-effacing. And that's one of the things that I do like about them. So, I enjoyed that. And I thought that this was fine. I understand why and the only reason I corrected you on who takes the pin is because I wanted to make a point about it. I understand why Josh Alexander takes the pin. You're not going to let Kyle Fletcher get beat because he's going to wrestle Takahashi, and you don't want to have him take a loss to Takahashi or a pin, 2 weeks before Forbidden Door. And the Young Bucks are what they are. I understand why they're not taking a loss. My issue is that when Josh Alexander came over from TNA and joined the Don Callis family, I was extremely excited. And I was like, oh, this is awesome. Here's Josh Alexander. Josh Alexander's great. He's in AEW. We're the best wrestlers. All those things. And don't get me wrong, he's had decent moments in a lot of matches, but he's taken a lot of losses. And he's now, it feels like, become the guy kind of on the Don Callis family who looks good but takes losses. And in that regard, I'm not necessarily here for that. I want more for Josh Alexander in the long run than just to be the guy in the Don Callis family that takes losses for the team. So in that regard, I'm a little disappointed that Josh got pinned. But again, it makes sense in the context of this match. And this match was great. I love this match. And this is the stuff that I like about the New Japan AEW, door, connection partnership, is that you get to see some of these guys that a lot of people aren't familiar with. Like, it makes me happy for you get to see Takahashi because he's so good. You know what I mean? So, and because you don't watch New Japan, so now you get to see him, and it's like, and for those people, it's like it's cool to get to see those guys for the first time and realize, wow, that dude's amazing. And so that in that regard, it's fun. That's part of my disappointment about the announcement of Tanahashi is that, yes, the name is there and it carries the weight, but like, when you actually get to see him, you're going to probably be a little disappointed, just eyes wise, on the final product of what he is, because he's old and his knees hurting, slow. Like, Takahashi, you can put him in the ring and everyone's going to go, holy shit, like, that dude's extremely talented. Like, and you're going to see that a little with Tanahashi, but I think far less. And so that's why I was a little disappointed in that, but it is what it is. Takahashi being here made up for it a little bit, and him being in Forbidden Door does make up for it a little bit. little bit. So I thought this was great. I like this. I enjoyed all of this. So other than Josh Alexander taking the loss, I really want Josh Alexander to get away from the Don Callis family. I don't know how that's going to happen because he's not doing anything. There's been nothing going on for him in the Don Callis family that gives any reason to think that he's going to break away or any of that. They don't do anything with him except put him in matches and have him take losses. So that's, it is what it is.
What happened to Cal Fletcher's partner, Mark something? What's his name?
Yeah, Mark Davis.
Mark Davis. Like did he get hurt? Because we just threw that to the side.
Yeah, he was back for a minute, right? He was back for a minute, and then him and Kyle Fletcher seemed to look like they were going to have a little bit of a feud at one point. Like he came back and it wasn't sure which side Mark Davis was going to fall on. He was trying to get Kyle Fletcher or whatever, and then he's gone again. So I don't know if they decided they didn't need him or if he got injured. But yeah, I miss Mark Davis because Mark Davis for like a month was the guy that was taking the losses for the Don Callis family, right? He was getting pinned for a minute, and then so I don't know where he went either. Yeah, I don't know. That being said, as great as Aussie Open is, like you can't stop Kyle Fletcher's momentum right now as a singles wrestler. This dude has proved that he can go and do it right as a singles wrestler with the best of the best. So I mean, his matches with Ospreay, completely solidified for me the fact that this guy is that guy, right? He's one of those guys, right? He's one of those. So and this is the spot for him as a singles wrestler with the title. So no offense to Mark Davis and no offense to Aussie Open, but maybe in his early years before whatever, but now he's in his bag as a singles wrestler. And a tag team, him going back to Aussie Open and Mark Davis as a tag team would be a step back at this point. Not necessarily getting away from Don Callis because I don't like Don Callis. So Kyle Fletcher away from Don Callis, whatever excites me. But going back to Mark Davis and Aussie Open would feel like a step back at this point for Kyle Fletcher. So.
No, understandable. I don't want him to get back together, but I am like Mark Davis is a good wrestler. Can we just find something for him to do? Let's not let Josh Alexander turn into a Mark Davis. Unfortunately, don't let the comparison. Exactly.
Yeah, no, I mean I think that's fair. Yeah, because I had such high hopes for Josh Alexander when he came in, and I just feel like it's been underwhelming.
Yeah. All right. So next is the second chapter of the whole lights out match. We have the Death Riders walking down the hall, and this was not Renee. This was I'm gonna be respectful. Her name Lexi Nair. Ha! In your face. Yes, Lexi Nair. Lexi Nair talking to John Moxley and informing John Moxley that Tanahashi will be a part of the Ospreay's team, and I loved Moxley's expression. You double like,
right?
Yes, come on. You're like, okay, cool. Like, I love that little notion of, oh crap, I didn't think he was going to get him. But then he goes into the room, and in the room are the Young Bucks. He's like, want to talk some business? Yeah, all right. So they close the door, and then you have Claudio, Yuta, and Marina block standing guard. I guess make sure no one listens to the conversation. And then later on, and I am like, okay, so what's going to happen next week? Because I feel like y'all real life could have told us this last week. You did not have to announce it like this. The official participants of the lights out match. Number one, it is now a lights out cage match. Okay. And the team of Moxley will be him and the Death Riders with the Young Bucks and Gabe Kidd, hey Boo, versus Ospreay.
Six guys.
One of them was gonna be wait.
Yuta, Claudio, Moxley, the two Young Bucks, and Gabe Kidd, right?
No. So sorry, the official team will be not Yuta. It will be Claudio, Moxley, the Young Bucks, and Gabe Kidd. That's 5.
Okay.
Ospreay, Derby, I tell you, I don't want to mess people's names up.
Tanahashi,
Kenny Omega, and his golden lover. What's his name?
Kota Ibushi.
So it'll be Kota Ibushi, Omega, Darby, Ospreay, and Tanahashi, and versus Death Riders, Young Bucks, and Gabe Kidd. You real life did not have to announce this right now. You could have had the surprise of look, Omega, who we have not seen since All Out, is coming back with his homeboy to face the Death Riders and Young Bucks. I don't know why you had to announce all of this right now. You did it unless no one could, unless you couldn't take a you could have booked 2 tickets from New Japan to Glasgow because they'll be in Glasgow, Ireland. Sure.
Yeah, the Scotland.
Scotland. They'll be in Glasgow, Scotland next week. I guess you can't do a ticket to Glasgow to freaking New Japan. But I'm like, dang, y'all could have saved that last little tidbit from next week. Especially if they're not even there. You just announced it. But what are your thoughts on the 5 versus 5 in a lights out cage match?
I again, it's gonna be what it is. Hopefully in a cage, kind of i.e. war games, although you still have the 2 rings. Hopefully in a cage, it will keep it more contained so it's easier for the camera to catch more of it in that regard. But it's also a much smaller space to have a lot of guys going at it. I mean, it's gonna be very chaotic, to say the least. So, um, you know, to a certain extent, this is kind of when I talk about wanting the dream matches and the Forbidden Door matches that don't necessarily have a lot to do with main AEW storylines. This is kind of that, and at the same time, there are some storylines that permeate through it. So it is what it is. Again, I think it would have been nice to have somebody else besides Tanahashi from New Japan, but again, the name precedes itself, so it is what it is. And if I'm not mistaken, he's still the president. So it doesn't kind of surprise me that he chose himself to maybe go over and be, a representative.
Yeah.
Um, so. I'm here for it. I think the match should be fine. There's a lot of good wrestlers in it. I still am disappointed we're not getting Moxley Darby as a singles match like I was really hoping we were getting. So in that regard, I'm a little disappointed. Um,
I want to
but
say
yeah, I mean, Moxley. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. What were you saying?
real quick. I want to say like 'cause I think I believe in Darby. Darby's great, but it is his first match since climbing Mount Everest. So I think that's probably where like, hey, let's do a multi-man match at Forbidden Door to see how knock the cobwebs off of the ring rust. And in the next pay per view we'll do like all out will probably be Darby versus Moxley.
God bless AEW for trying to make us super excited for Tanahashi. Between the announcement and Moxley's face, Moxley's reaction is perfect for the Tanahashi that Moxley knows and has been, has been whatever for the last 10 or 15 years, his time in New Japan, all those things. It's not the proper response for the Tanahashi that he is today, unfortunately. But this is John Moxley, who's kind of his generation. And so for him, that's the response he's going to give because it's still a big name for him. So in that regard, God bless him for trying to make it feel like Tanahashi is as big a deal as he actually is, or that he's going to be as big a deal as he maybe comes off to be. Maybe that's a better way to say it. But we'll see what he looks like in the match. Hopefully, he won't have too much time in the ring, and they'll protect him a little bit. At the same time, I also know that in his mind, he still thinks he can really go and wants to be the superstar still. So I don't know I don't know how much he's going to try to interject himself in the match or be, a main focal part of the match. But it's fine. I mean, Moxley's face was perfect for him, and Tanahashi is one of his generation's superstars, megastars. So that reaction is perfect. And Moxley's great, just in general. So yeah, the match will be what it is. I'm excited to kind of see how it comes off. I think it could be really good or really bad. As could anything, but I mean, it feels like there's some things that have potential to be one way or the other more than some things, and this could come off bad depending on how it plays out, or it could end up being really good. At this point, I'm going to well, I don't have any choice. I'm going to hold judgment until I see it. And we'll talk about it after that.
Like more so, this is a Tanahashi retirement. I think all wrestlers go through the stage of I really didn't want to like I know retirement was the right decision, but I really don't want to retire. So it's like let me just do one match. Let me just do a house show. It's like I think we're definitely in that midst of Tanahashi's retirement right now until he's like, okay,
Yeah.
I'm officially done. I can't do this no more. Right. And then we have a on the ramp in ring interview, which I love. And again, this is what makes me think that the technical issues were technical issues. Renee Paquette was on the stage. We couldn't hear her mic, so we had to launch it back to the announce team until everything got right. And it didn't take no more than maybe 30 seconds to a minute. Get back to Renee. It's like, and here is our challenger for the AEW International. Well, is it okay? Is it we call it the Unified title or?
Yeah.
We could have had a better name. It's internet, like international, so much better than unified. Is so played out. Okay, sorry. Unified champion Okada. Here is his challenger, Swerve Strickland. And basically, they said the same stuff that they've been saying, but instead of before whose house, Swerve's house, Okada comes out and goes nose to nose with Swerve. Side note, so this was very disrespectful. Renee was like, "So Swerve, I saw you come out of the doctor's room. Is everything okay?" It's like, damn. So
You don't just put me on blast.
Why everybody tell me your business? Dang, you have to tell everybody that shit. But he's like, yeah, the knee's pretty banged up, but it's all good. And then Okada was like, listen, when it come our match, I'm breaking your knee and I'm beating you. And it's like, dad, it's like in my mind, I don't know, we don't really like wrestlers will hide the truth until absolutely necessary. But I'm like, but if Ospreay neck hurt and Swerve got a banged up knee, should they have won? Should they have won against the Young Bucks? I am thoroughly enjoying the Young Bucks in their downward spiral of not being EVPs. But if they're not good and ready to go, we all can agree that those two was going to be two great matches for Hangman. But if you weren't ready, you could have let the Young Bucks win and maybe find someone else for Hangman. But like banged up knee, broken neck. Well, not broken neck, but like stiff neck. You need infusion like that. What would y'all do that all in? Honestly. But any thoughts on this? This was like I said, they're basically repeating the same thing. So that little nugget that that Swerve is hurt. So if he loses, that's probably going to be the reason why. Any thoughts though?
I mean, it's fine. I mean, they need to. Okada needs to not say bitch so much. That's a small, but it's like every single time he's on TV now, he says it at some point, and it's like it's becoming too. When it's a unique thing and it hits hard, that's one thing, and it's like okay, that's fine. But now it's like every single time, and you get to the point where it's like okay, when's he gonna say it already? Like you know what I mean? Like, so in that regard, you don't want to overdo something too much. I'm here for Okada versus Strickland. I assume that this is where Okada finally loses his belt. He had the Continental Championship for a long time, and now he's been the Unified Champion for a while. And even though Swerve doesn't need a belt, I like Swerve with the belt. And I do think that Okada is kind of at the point in his career where I think it's okay for him to not have a belt. And he can still be who he is, right? I mean, he's already created the resume and all those things, right? He has on his resume that unified that continental and international championship, despite what Tony Khan says about wanting all titles to feel equal, that is a mid-card title to a certain extent for a guy like Okada that's been at the mountaintop of New Japan and other places, right? So like to a certain extent it's been a step back for him. And so okay, I mean, it is what it is, but I assume this is where Swerve probably takes the title. Again, it may feel like a slight step back for Swerve, but Swerve is such a major superstar in the US that I think what you don't necessarily get by putting the unified belt on Okada, you do get by putting it on Swerve. Like, I think it does raise the profile more. Like, Okada is Okada and people know who he is, but like, it's not Swerve, not in the States. He's not Swerve. Like, Swerve has a special following and a place in people's hearts where, like, that does, and people know, what to expect from Swerve and they trust him for all these things, and he's one of the best going at the moment. So putting that belt on him, I do think does give a little bit more than Okada gives to that belt. So I think it's time for it to go to Swerve. And so, yeah, I mean, this is fine. I just don't like the bitch every single time we see Okada, but I'm critical of Okada in general. But this match should be fun. I mean, he can go, Swerve can go. The match for Forbidden Door should be amazing. I really hope that Swerve gets the win.
Yeah. All right, and then after this Aaron program, we have a Dark Knight-esque video package where we just see a bunch of black rooftops, and it took me a minute to figure it out. Where then they flashed an orange spotlight, and I'm like, I was like, who is this? Who has a spotlight? And I'm like, it's Hook. So the official return of Hook next week. We will see what happens. This was very interesting because we had not at All Out, but Revolution. Yeah, no, Double or Nothing, where we had Anarchy in the Arena, and we had Hook help Joe, but we didn't do anything about it. So I'm like, what? I'm very interested. Like, what happened? Like, was he not medically cleared? You just said, hey, let him come out and help, or what? Because it felt like we were going to do the storyline there, but that was a couple of months ago. So it really was like, what is going on? And then even so, I'll just go into the match. The main event, we have Samoa Joe is returning from his tour of Twisted Metal. Welcome back, baby. You are one of my favorites. With the ops of Will Hobbs and Shibata versus LFI. Cool. As a main event, I didn't think it was a main event worthy match. I love Samoa Joe. Samoa Joe is that dude. But everything that we have just reviewed leading up to a trios match, not even for the titles. This was a non-championship match. That was a let's say misdirect. Like, this should have been the first thing on the show, maybe, or in the middle, but definitely not the main event. I'm not even gonna go through it. Ops win because Samoa Joe, Will Hobbs, Shibata are the dudes. They stand tall. Again, it was a great match. It was cool, but really didn't think it was like, okay, we just went through Ospreay coming back, Christian Cage reuniting with Copeland, the announcement of everyone who's going to be a lights out match. It's like, and we just get this. It was very much so surprising that this was the main event. And I was gonna say, and that's why I stopped with the Hook thing. Like, you didn't have to wait till next week. Hook coming back this week could have gave this a little bit more edge to be the main event. Not sure, like, not a lot more edge, but at least a little bit more edge. We're like, why are we waiting until next week for him to come back? So, suffice to say, this was a misstep. This definitely should not have been the main event, in my opinion. But it was still a good match, even though it wasn't even for the title. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't really agree more. I mean, to be fair, I feel like there wasn't, other than really the Young Bucks match, there wasn't really a match that I thought that should have surpassed this per se in this episode as a main event, but this didn't feel like a main event match. I think I probably would have put the Young Bucks in the main event just because it felt like that's a little bit bigger match. But this whole episode of Dynamite, it was interesting because it had like your regular AEW stalwarts, your big names, but the matches themselves were a little underwhelming as far as who competed against each other this week, in that regard. So, I mean, other than the women's where we actually had Mercedes and Alex Windsor in the match, but then that match didn't come off quite as good as the match with women that I don't think are as good a wrestlers as it was on Collision. So in that regard, like, you had better people on paper, but the match came off worse. So that takes a knock there. I mean, I don't know. Yes, definitely wasn't a main event match. Happy to see Samoa Joe back. I'm not totally sure. I understand they're the trios champions, and I guess LFI is a trio, so I guess that's why we're here, whatever. But like, I don't totally understand why. And again, I know that I've made jokes about not everything has to be, we've known each other for 10 years, we slept with each other's wives, all those kinds of things in order to have a storyline. Sometimes just having a title is enough, and that's fine. If that's why LFI is going after the ops because they have the trios title and they want them, to a certain extent, that's fine. But then at least say that. At least make that somewhat known, because right now we don't know why at all these guys are really wrestling each other. So, and in that case, if they're there for the title, then it either needs to be a title match or, as much as I fucking hate them, at least a qualifier match. Like, if they
Yeah.
get the win, they get a shot at the titles, or have them wrestle somebody else that if they win, then they get a shot at the Ops trios titles. Like, is how I prefer it. But so in that regard, yeah, it didn't feel like a main event other than Samoa Joe coming back. And I don't understand why these two are feuding. It should have been in the middle of the card, or why these guys are wrestling should have been in the middle of the card. And yeah, I'm excited for Hook coming back. I mean, again, I was when Hook first came in, I was extremely excited. I really loved Hook. I thought this is going to be, and then I feel like he kind of plateaued and didn't really grow a whole lot for a while. And
Yeah.
then it looked like he was starting to kind of progress. And then I think he got injured and has been out for a long time now. So, I don't know. We'll see what we get when he comes back. I'm hoping for a little bit more, that it looks like he's progressed a little bit more than where he was. But again, if you're injured, I don't know how much progressing you can do. Maybe it's mostly just rehab. I don't know. So we're gonna have to see. I'm excited to see that. I'm willing to be excited about it because I like Hook. But yeah, overall, I thought this was a down episode of Dynamite, especially considering leading into Forbidden Door.
So so that wasn't the end. They wanted to just leave on a
Oh,
cliffhanger.
that's right. Sorry, there was one more segment. Sorry. You're right.
We have Hangman walking in the parking lot to go home, but MJF attacks him from behind, just plays ping pong with his head on a couple of car freaking trunks. And he said, I told you, I'm going to break you. And at Forbidden Door, I'm getting back my world championship. So see, you said earlier that a lot of jaw jacking. I should have been swinging at each other. We had to wait an
Yeah.
hour and 30 minutes, but it happened. Eventually, it happened. And so there's that. It was cool. It was cool. Again, not really. I know they're trying to make up for the trios championship being the main event, but it still wasn't enough. Like this was a good segment, but it wasn't enough. But it was fine. Any thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little bit better. And I totally, now being reminded, it's a little bit better that it did end on this than just on the trio segment,
Yeah.
and the Ops winning. But yeah, no, I mean, it doesn't necessarily save it. I mean, this has nothing to do with the main event. So it doesn't, in that regard, it does nothing to save that being put in the wrong spot as far as on the match card for the night, right? So this was fine for the actual closing segment of the show, and MJF is MJF, and this looks good. And this obviously builds towards Forbidden Door and their match at Forbidden Door. Again, harken back a little to, this is way too much of a AEW storyline match to be on a Forbidden Door card for me. And I understand what you're saying when you talked about, now the New Japan stars are already here, but this doesn't even have a New Japan star in it, or another company star in it. These are just two AEW stars going for the title at a pay-per-view. So they could have done this at any pay-per-view. Save this for the next pay-per-view and have MJF or Hangman go against somebody else from another company, New Japan or somebody that's exciting and different. Give this a chance to breathe, break this up a little bit, give it a chance to whatever. But it is what it is, and we're getting it at Forbidden Door. It should be a solid match. I honestly don't know who's going to win,
Yeah.
and to a certain extent, I don't really care. Just because, I mean, I like MJF and I'll be happy if he's champion again. And, at this point in time, I don't imagine he's going to win. And Hangman needs some quality wins under his belt to make this a solid Hangman reign, which I think is something that Tony Khan's very interested in doing and invested in doing. So, but I'm not a big Hangman fan. So it doesn't, I mean, I'm not like against him. I'm indifferent about it. So in that regard, it is what it is. But yeah, I mean, this little segment closing out the show didn't save the fact that the main event is booked in the wrong spot, and it didn't save the show as a whole. Ultimately, one woman's spot, which ended up not being as good as the one on Collision, even though it's not a direct comparison. It's basically the same women except for two different ones. And with those two women additions, it should have been better, and it wasn't. So no, for me, this was. God, man, if Collision was a C, I mean, this is like a C plus. I mean, I think it's a hair above, mostly just because, Moxley and Knight was a solid match. I enjoyed that. Yeah, obviously Moxley on the TV. Um, Takahashi, Hiromu, And that match with the Young Bucks, I thought was really the only match that saved the show and made it just a hair better than Collision. Other than that, this could have been a Collision show for all intents and purposes in many respects. So
Um,
I'm going to give it a C plus, just a hair above that C that I gave Collision this week.
so this is gonna be really, really weird. Like you said, if they just rearrange some stuff, I would I would bring I would bring Osprey back at the end, and so that'll be Moxley versus Kevin Knight. That would be fine. Uh, Copeland coming back with Cage, it was cool, but it was rushed. That women's segment pissed me off because like really we just gonna jam them off in the same thing for no good reason.
I
I
didn't hear you. You kind
I
of cut
give
out a
it
little.
I give it a C minus. I do not. I think Collision was better than
Woo!
my this year.
It's better than this. Is why we need that third person. This is where we're at. So now we're at a deadlock
If
because now
anyone's
we don't have a winner.
if anyone's in the chat, you can be our tiebreaker. Dolores, if you're still in the chat, be our tiebreaker. What was better, Collision or Dynamite?
Yeah, who's ever watching, chime in, let us know who they thought was better, Collision or Dynamite. So
Yeah.
I had Collision at a C and Dynamite at a C plus. You had Collision at a C and Dynamite at a C minus. So, whoo, interesting. We might have a time limit draw this week.
No, I hate that. We're gonna break this. One moment here. So,
We're gonna break this.
what was your most
Uh,
this moment of Collision that made you do a C?
with the most egregious moment of Collision.
Yeah,
Uh,
like that's why it was a C. And
probably the two women's segments. I would think. I mean, man, those were tough. I mean, Megan Bain with the squash, which was what it is, I guess, and then the segment, even though the match ended up being ultimately better than when we saw it 5 days later with different women, it was still kind of the down point of that show. Um, yeah, maybe that was. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd have to
you
look back again because now, after talking about it, now I'm drawing a little bit of a blank on exactly what happened in Collision. It's all running together, but
right.
um,
More so Cal Fletcher versus Ishii, and it
yeah,
was
that was very solid.
it ended with Hangman and Speedball and Jet Speed versus LFI.
Which we
Uh,
weren't sure why that was going on. We don't know what the connection was between Hangman and Jet Speed. That's kind of weird. But we were in Virginia, so it makes sense why Hangman had to be on the show and in the main event, to get the win. I guess that makes some sense.
okay, okay. All right. So I'll say this. So we can definitely agree that and then the women had their multi-man match of Queen Aminata, Willow, and Ty Mello versus the Triangle of Madness. So in my brain, the top two things that sucked on Dynamite was the women's trios match, which was not as good as Collision, and the main event was the Ops that they Samoa Joe came back, but that wasn't enough, and they rushed. It's like you really think? I think Collision went. I'm trying to stall because if anyone's in the chat, help us out here. Uh, but yeah, I don't think Dynamite beat Collision this week. It was a whole lot of people coming back, but that just pissed me off when Osprey come back. Because, sir, why did you just announce that you were leaving?
Right?
You passed away.
Yeah. I mean, Josh Alexander did take the loss in what was the best match of the night. I mean, I don't know. I could potentially go on my end. I would be willing to adjust my grades to make Collision and Dynamite both C's, but I don't know if I can put Dynamite at a C minus below Collision. I can maybe give them the same grade. Maybe Collision or Dynamite could come from a C plus to a C. I don't know if I could go down to a C minus. I don't. If anything, it was on par. That's why I'm saying this Dynamite felt like it could have been a Collision episode. So in that regard, like I could give them both C's. And I know you hate the draw. I'd be willing to call it a draw one week because we don't ever have. But I don't know that I could go with Collision or Dynamite being below Collision.
since nobody's in the chat, maybe
There's nobody in the chat who want to say that.
fine. We'll call it a draw.
Oh, our first ever 38 episodes of Winner's crossing, whether it was AEW versus WWE or now AEW versus AEW. I think it's our first ever draw, if I'm not mistaken.
I want to say it might have been a draw between NXT and AEW at one time. I'm not sure. But no.
We have to go back and look, but definitely since doing Collision versus Dynamite, this is our first draw for sure. No doubt about that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, for me, there really wasn't much difference between the two shows this week. Now, if Tony Khan's goal is to have Dynamite and Collision both be roughly the same, he achieved it this week. Unfortunately, neither was very good. Let's put it that way. So, either make them both better or go back to keeping Dynamite above Collision, because you can't have you cannot put on two C shows in the same week. You just can't. Your regular weekly shows can't both be in the C category. They just can't. So you got to do better than that. All right. Unless there's anything else you got to say, we'll do a little bit of cleanup and we'll get out of here because we're going on almost 3 hours. As short as Collision took an hour, Dynamite took almost 2 hours. So let's see here. Make sure and join us every Tuesday night for the cookout, where we all come together and talk about what's cooking up in the world of professional wrestling. That is every Tuesday night, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, 10:30 Eastern. On Friday nights, starting at 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern, it is Anika with somebody, usually Sammy Joe, watching SmackDown live, giving you their live, real-time opinions and reactions to the show. So make sure and join them for that. Then join us every Saturday morning. You're here with us now for Winner's Circle, where it was me and Sammy and Anika. At some point, Sam, you should come back. But normally it's me and Anika reviewing AEW Dynamite and Collision and declaring a grade for each one and which one was the winner. This week we have a draw between the two, as they both ended up roughly in the C categories. So we declared it a draw, as we didn't have a tiebreaker this week. But make sure and join us every Saturday morning ongoing for that. Always 7 a.m. Pacific, 10 a.m. Eastern. You can scan the QR code, this little horsey here, and that will take you to Linktree. And from Linktree, you can get to all of the social media platforms you see on the screen from one location, and you can interact with us on any of these social media platforms. We'd love to hear from you, love to interact with you, so come over and check us out. Let us know what you got to say about anything wrestling oriented or not wrestling oriented. We're just happy to interact with you guys. If you want, you can catch the audio version of the. Hold on, I got to take the QR code off. I thought I put it down, but it didn't go away. The audio version of the cookout, where you can just listen to us instead of having to sit and watch the YouTube channel. You can find that on these podcast platforms on the screen. So you can listen to us when you're doing whatever it is you're doing. So please go over to one of these platforms or any of these platforms and check out the audio only version of the cookout. I think that's basically all of the house cleaning. We will be here for Forbidden Door in 2 weeks on August 24th, Sunday, August 24th for Forbidden Door. I've already got the approval from the boss that I can be here. I think Anika requested the day off. So at minimum, you'll get the two of us, assuming that Anika gets it off. I think CM will be here, and maybe we'll even get a Sammy sighting. So without further ado, unless you got anything else to do, as usual, poor Dolores will cut out those lights. And until next time, say peace.